TGIF. Hope you all have had a wonderful week. I know you are ready for the weekend to begin. So, welcome to the Just Ask Char advice channel. We will be getting started very soon. So get comfortable, get ready, and relax. We sincerely thank you all for your support. This channel is sponsored by you, the subscribers. When you want to hear another perspective for yourself or a friend, then just send an email for advice to JustAskChar@gmail.com. All right, we are ready to get this show started. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Tell a friend. There will always be a perspective or some advice that someone can benefit from and use. Now, here's your host of the show, Char Willie.
Greetings, greetings, greetings. What's happening? What's going on? How are you? Whew, it has been one of those weeks, I tell you. It's been long and it's been tough. But do you know, we're right at the end of the year. I mean, just right there. It's like poof, 2020 is gone. You may say, oh, it's just the 18th. We still have a little while. Not really. Not really. I promise you. But I hope you all are doing well. I hope things are going well for you, and you happy that it's Friday. And for my coworker that's listening in the clouds, we made it, girl. We made it. It was tough, but we made it. Yeah, it has been one of those weeks, I tell you. It was chaotic at work. It's just, I don't really have words to describe. I just don't. But I think every company is trying to get those things in for the last of the year, get the books straight, get the budget ready, all that kind of stuff. Tax season is here. Don't think it's not. Oh, it's here. Those what is that? You got to choose your benefits for next year. I think most people had to do it the last week of November. It's just a lot happening, and with the pandemic going on, that's not helping any. It's just not. And I did warn you guys. I suggest that you guys go ahead and get some of your essential because I just saw it coming. I smelled it in the air. That's why I said it might be feeling good in July. Got the little warm heat and stuff, but hey, I think this is coming back around. So I hope you guys are stocked up pretty good. You didn't have to be obsessive about it. Just a few things for the family. And I had a couple more things to mention, but I don't know. I'm just so glad that Friday is here and I'm ready to begin. That's all I can say. And without further ado, let's bring on the beautiful, the lovely, the classic Ruby, everybody.
Oh, you didn't have to stand up and applaud and whistle for such a little bit of time. Next time, an extra 5 seconds. No, I'm kidding. What's up? Good evening, TGIF.
TGIL for real.
Right, we made it. Like you said, I can't wait. I can't wait till the 23rd, right? Because that's when Mr. and Mrs. Ruby get to sit at home officially for the Christmas break. And you don't even have to care. You just sit home and, I don't know, roast marshmallows over the open flame of the stove. I don't know. Just something, you know?
That's actually what I was going to mention. Usually, when you just working and you just got a little tough sometimes, you're just glad to be at home. You're glad to have the day off.
Yes.
And with what's going on now in the world, you got a social distance anyway. So it's like, whoo, good. I ain't got to drive way over there to go see Aunt so and so and so and so, so and so. They'll
Yes.
understand.
Right? Exactly. Actually, now they have this thing. I can't remember what it's called. It's the youngins in my family that found this thing, but it's like basically like an app. Okay. And so this app is all about you meeting up and hanging out. Right. So they actually made a special one. Like there's not enough of them where we all meet up and hang out. Like Discord doesn't exist and hangouts. And no, there's a new one now. And it's an app just so that way y'all can sit at home in your PJs, not get any tickets for social distancing, but still hang out with your friends and family. Apparently, you could like do special stuff on there and whatever, right? So it's kind of like mixing the best of both worlds. I don't have to go nowhere. I don't have to do anything. And I can hang out with 10 of my closest people, right? So they're trying to help us out. They're trying to help us out.
Okay. Yeah, they trying to keep us safe, so I get it. And they're gonna make some money while they're at it too. Haha.
Oh yes. Oh, you know they are. You know they are. I haven't gone into it yet because we've all postponed because we're cousins. And so you can always be last on my list. We'll still love each other. So I'll check it out. I'll let y'all know. I'll report back after the Christmas break when we finally gotten together and let y'all know if it's worth giving them the AdSense money or whatever it is, right? Yeah. Gotta try these things out, right?
Right. Well, as of right now, look like this is the last Friday of streaming for the year. Because next Friday is Christmas, and let everybody get a break, including myself. Yeah, so let's do it. Let's have fun. Let's go out with a bang, as they say.
All right, I'm down. I am so ready. I'm ready for this one. I am ready. I cannot wait. Char, I cannot wait. When I saw this title, I was like, what are we going to deal with today? Okay, I know whatever I got to say. I know Vonda's going to say something about it. I already know. I can just feel this one. I can feel it. I predict it. I will put money on it. All right.
Okay, let's see what happens here. All right. Today I have a letter from a young lady, and she writes, Dear Shar, I met a guy online a few months ago, and we really hit it off. I'm 30 years old, and he's 34. I was going through a divorce, and he was separated from his wife. After a few weeks of seeing each other, he started saying that he was falling for me, and I was the perfect woman for him. We would talk or text almost every day, but there were several times that I wouldn't hear from him for a few weeks. Then one day, out of the blue, he said that he couldn't do this anymore. He owed it to himself and to his wife to try to make things work out. They were only married for 6 months when we met, and he told me that she wasn't the person that he thought she was and that she was pretty crazy. 5 days later, he called and said that he made a mistake and that he wanted me back. I agreed, but it is not the same. He actually went 2 weeks with no contact once. Then one day I received a text from him saying, Hey you, how have you been? When we've talked, he did admit that he was sleeping with someone else those few weeks I didn't hear from him. But he said it meant nothing, like that's supposed to make it hurt less. We ended up spending the night together, and I haven't heard much from him in 2 days since then. What's going on, and what should I do? Thank you so much for your letter.
Girl, sister, please. Okay. No, there are some times, right? Every once in a while, someone feels confused about a situation, and you just gotta look at them and shake your head slowly, and sadly. Really? What are you missing? Okay, I'm not going to dissect the situation yet, but period, point blank, if you don't understand basically that you're like the consolation prize he's got in his back pocket for in case nothing better pans out, like, him and his much hotter than you wife don't work out, or the other chick he's seeing don't work out, or whatever, he's got you in the back pocket. If you don't see that that's clearly what you are, I don't know what you're missing. I don't know what you're missing. And I'm gonna go a step further. And I'm gonna say that that situation is exactly, or if not exactly, very close to the type of issues you were dealing with your spouse. And the reason why I say that, this is why they say it very rarely works out when people jump right out of a marriage, right? Marriage ended today, and then before the ink's even dry on the divorce, or the divorce hasn't happened yet, that they move on into another relationship, and then people don't experience the exact same issues from their divorce, right? And the reason why that happens is because they took no time to analyze themselves, the relationship, what they did wrong, do that really necessary fixing of yourself that you have to do, so that way you're not just drawing the same type of people into you, and you're not just really repeating your mistakes over and over and over again, right? So, I mean, off the bat, before I even get to the other person, we'll call him that, in this scenario, I just gotta, what are you doing? What are you doing? Girl. Okay. Like, I don't get it. Oh my God, this went so far left, Shar. We started at the beginning, and where we ended, Wow. But you know what though? I gotta say one thing. Thank you. Because I was saying, remember, I was like, y'all don't give us enough detail. Like we don't have enough detail to go on. And thank you so much for giving us more detail. Um, so I'm gonna try to be gentle because you gave us the more detail to go on. You gave us the ages, 30 and 34. You know, like you really help people out. But
Yeah, a lot of letters, they're not like that though. So that was good that we do have this much.
Oh my God. Okay. Whew. So let's I mean, I like what is I guess and maybe I missed it because my head was in a spin. But what was her it was what was her specific question? Like what was she specifically asking? Like should she stay with this guy or not? Is that the question or like
She wants to know what's going on with him.
oh, yeah. He if he had a wife at all, I'm not really 100% sure. He may or may not have. Um, at
Mm.
the end of the right, because I mean, you can say whatever you want. People buy fake rings all the time. Um, but whether he had
Oh.
a wife or not, the point is clearly there's someone that he was with. They broke up. He met you. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying you put out desperate vibes out there like, you're so scared now that you've taken this plunge with divorce that you're going to be alone forever. And so he went, great. Someone I can basically treat however I want and treat like a second class citizen, and she's never going to go anywhere. And so that's how he saw you. That's what he targeted from you. And then every time the ex gives him another chance, anytime he runs to that and he drops you like a hot tamale. And then once things go wrong with them again, right, then he calls you like nothing went wrong. Or, the some pretty girl at the club gives him the time of day, he disappears for the night. And then when that doesn't work out, he calls you again. Like I said, you are the consolation prize. Like, just so he doesn't have to die alone, if nothing else on the planet works out, then he'll deal with you, right? But like you're nothing special to him. He's not pursuing you. You don't mean anything to him. This is not the way men act or treat a woman when they truly value that woman and see that woman as like wife potential and like this woman has something special. I never want to let her go. This is not the way men act when they feel that way.
Well, they met online and uh, well, the statuses, what people put, they do lie. So I'm with you on that.
Mm-hmm.
But since that's where they said they were, she's was getting a divorce. So I guess that was the site that, they were using a um, divorce site or something like that. So she considered herself divorced. And maybe, I don't know, he considered himself divorced. But see, it's that almost single thing. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the first thing I mentioned on my response. I'm like, you're still married. You're
Mm-hmm.
you're you're not single. So just get that status together. Once you know what category you're in, you're there. I have not seen, and I'm sure it's out there. There have been some people, that it has worked out for, but most times when people, especially the men, and that's why I'm just going to say with the men, they go back to their wives.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah.
majority of times, they go back to their wives. We've seen it on YouTube where a content creator got with the dude and had a baby and everything. What ended up happening? He went back to his wife. I
Yep.
see it in among the people I know, television shows. You see it on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Most times, the man is going to go back to his wife.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Uh, You know what? And I gotta say one thing though, right? See, this part me and Bond are gonna disagree on. I already know. I don't have to see what she said yet. We're gonna disagree. Now, and it's probably it's a cultural. It's got to be a cultural thing. I know that, right? Because I never even saw my one set of grandparents. My whole entire life, all 36 years I've been alive, they have not been together, but they were separated. They didn't divorce. On the other side of my family, right? They separated when I was 14, 15, around then. Didn't divorce.
Hmm.
And yeah, and they each actually on that side, both of them had like a significant other. Actually, while they were dating, while they were together, they had significant others. But anyway, um,
Oh.
yeah, my grandma was even shacked up with her significant other until he found God, and then he put her on the couch. He wasn't really happy with that. Because he was like, unless you divorce your husband and marry me, we can't sleep together anymore. And she didn't like that at all. But what she didn't do is divorce her husband. So I guess in a way, and I mean that's really, really popular. Like it's something I've seen a lot of. And so because I've seen it so much, I'm a little bit unfazed or unbothered by people who are definitively like, we are done. If we sign a piece
Uh-huh.
of paper, it's not going to make us more done or less done. We are done. We've cut all ties. We've separated our bank accounts. We've separated our lives. Everything is separate. No chance of reconciliation. Now we don't talk to each other on the phone when we're lonely. Like we're really done. I'm a little bit unbothered by the marital status. Like even my parents,
Mm-hmm.
my parents separated before I even can remember them together. I have no actual memories of my parents together, but they were married before I was born. But they didn't divorce until a few months before my sister was born, and that's 10 years later. Just didn't divorce. Um, my aunt left her husband when I was like 3. She got married. By the time I was 5, she was separated from her husband, and she never divorced that man. She was just never with him again, and I think he died like 15 years later or so.
Mm.
Yeah, right. I mean, I see it so much that it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me that you're gonna date while your marital status is still technically um married, for that reason, because it's normalized to me. But there's a
Mm-hmm.
second reason. If you share kids, or there's other things that you share and you benefit from, for example, the tax break you guys get by filing together, certain types of health or insurance or whatever, and you want to make sure your kids or your spouse it still has access to that, even though you're not together and you don't want to be together until they get on their feet. The best way to do that is to say legally separated and put it in a legal separation contract. So I don't know. I'm unbothered by that part per
Uh-huh.
se. I am. I'm unbothered by that part. It just has to do more with not the fact that she's dating while separated or while divorcing. It's
Mm-hmm.
about what did she do to get herself done? You know, did she go through the 5 stages of grief, get to acceptance, analyze herself, analyze him, analyze the world, analyze the relationship, break it apart piece by piece, and revamp herself coming out? And I learned all these new lessons. I got a fresh perspective on life. I'm ready now to start dating. Did she go through that, or did she just say, my bed is cold and lonely? I don't even want to think about this man anymore. I'm going to jump right into the dating pool, because that is my issue you know.
Yeah, and see, most people don't do any of those things. They may
Mhm.
have a fight, one go to somebody's house and crash, whoever that may be, a parent, grandparent, friend,
Right.
and they angry for a while and
Mhm.
they try again. At least the guy like, okay, you finished, girl. And she
Mhm.
like, I hate you or whatever going on. And then she burn his clothes, whatever she does. And he like, okay, I'm out. This lady crazy. And he goes
Mhm.
on. Well, after a while, well, son got a itch.
Right.
And well, hey, he wanted scratched. And normally they go get a scratch. So maybe this guy wanted to scratch and he went online. Said, hey, I'm
Mm.
separated. I'm getting ready to get a divorce myself, girl. What's up? And just at the time when I guess things were getting good to her,
Mhm.
maybe the wife said, "Well, you can come over and try." He like, "Okay, baby." Well, that's his wife. He didn't just stop loving her a month, 2 months down the line, and
Mhm.
he went on or whatever. They tried something, got an argument, and he disappeared for a minute, and then he popped up again. Hey, no, not hey girl. He said, what'd she say on the text? Hey
Like,
you.
hey, you? Yep.
I'm like, oh boy. No names. Don't want to see that name on his text. Okay.
Mhm.
So, men, they it is what it is. They got an itch. Like, okay, well, me and my wife have some issues. It's been 2 months. I want some. It is what it
Mm.
is. So, hey girl, what's up with you? What you up to?
Right.
Nothing. Mhm.
Oh my god, it's so it's so true. You know what? I think the thing is though, right? Is guys who are not A, they're not even married. B, if they are married, they're not even separated. Go on to those websites, right?
Mhm.
Because they draw in a predatory crowd, right? Sure, they draw in people who are actually divorced or divorcing and really looking for companionship. That's why, they stay open. But a particular type of guy who's looking for a particular type of woman, i.e., the one who's divorcing and feeling lonely and doesn't really have time to wait or to vet anything right now, right? She's hoping that the idea of, well, you've been married, so someone else vetted you is good enough for her. And so they go on there and they're not even actually separated. Like, separated could mean when they
Uh-huh.
wrote it at the time, I am physically separated from her because she's at home and I'm at work, right? And then when I get home from work, we ain't separated anymore. um, right? Or it could be a case of, like, I think we just had this conversation like last week or whatever, where hey, I'm dating you for 6 months. I'm at your house, all kinds of stuff. You got a whole wife, but she hasn't lived here for 6 months because of taking care of family. And then she comes here and now you can't talk to me anymore because you were separated, but by separated you just mean by distance, not like by emotionality or like
Mhm.
literally, right? So I mean, like, that's the problem, right? But the whether you had that piece of paper signed or not is not going to change that predatory mindset. These kinds of guys who are like that, and they'll just say it. They'll just say whatever.
Yeah, and also, now I also mentioned this. I have my thoughts about it, and I understand about the digital age, and a lot of people that they do the online thing. I got that, and I mentioned that I think last in my response because
Mm-hmm.
that's just my personal take. But I know that's what's going on. That's how people meet. That's what they do. I find that they get in trouble a lot. I don't know why they want to continue to do that, or maybe it's the person's first time that they done something like that online, got into a little trouble, and maybe they back away. I don't know. But that was her decision to get a profile and see what she can find. And
Mm-hmm.
she seemed like she's very open to the, well, it's actually nonsense. You know, the text, I don't hear from you and I'm falling for you. You know what? I think I made a mistake. Oh, you know what? I think I made a mistake and I want you back. I think I made a mistake. Yeah, I'm gonna go back to my wife. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
well, yeah, I'll be honest. Yeah, I was sleeping with somebody, but it meant nothing. It meant nothing. So, just that alone is too much. Or in the words
Uh-huh.
of Vonda, too much. It just is. And
Mhm.
you have to have some pride about yourself. And you need some time. Everyone needs some time. You don't break up Monday and go and on a date Tuesday. Now, some people can do that, but normally it doesn't work out, especially for women, because we're emotional and we'll be holding on some things. We think we can shake it off, but no, it doesn't really work that way.
Mhm. Oh yeah. And I mean, to be fair, because this has happened to me before, not with a married man, but with a guy. I mean, he clearly still harbored a little bit of like kind of bitterness about the way him and his long term, like they worked together for a very long time. I think it was maybe 5, 6 years. Like they started dating at the end of high school, started college kind of thing.
Hmm.
And we started dating, and I thought things were great. I thought things were so good, so good. And then one day, I got kind of like he disappeared for like a week. Then I got like some random text message, like something about his like parents needing him or something. And so he was going up north to take care of them or something. And I'm like, okay. And then he came back with the story of, listen, it's not you, it's me. You are wonderful. You deserve an amazing man in your life. And I wish I could be that man, but I owe it to me and to her. We owe it to ourselves to see
Hmm.
if this second chance is really gonna work. Can I
Uh-huh.
get an amen up in here? And I'm like, really?
Man. Oh, my bad. Sorry.
Right? And that was they had broke. It's not like they just broke up, right
Uh-huh.
before I met him or whatever. They had broken up a fair while ago, and that's why
Mhm.
whether they were married or just in a really really long term relationship or whatever, you gotta vet some of these things and see, like, is this person's heart still with an ex? Because
Yeah.
right, if your heart's with an ex, it can never belong to someone new. Never belong to someone new.
Yeah. I always think you should have some time, and it depends on how long you've been together, what age, if there's children involved. It's a lot of factors, and
Mhm.
it can hurt, that separation. Now, I'm not saying if someone is abusing you and you just hate them tomorrow, but you want to get out that situation. You're not, thinking to be around that person. But you will remember that pain, like, "Oh, I don't wanna go back to that. Yeah, I loved them, but, I don't want this abuse," and you
Mhm.
stay away. So, yeah, you may still love that person, you dislike them and hate what they've done to you, but the love just doesn't just drift away like that. But,
Right.
it takes time for separation, and like I
Mhm.
said, I just see it all the time. Every time for me, from what I've witnessed, the man goes back to his wife. Each
Yeah.
and every time. It's not, well, like I said, I gave you the example with on YouTube. I know some friends that did the same thing. Now, when it's over, it's over. And it's usually really ugly. People get separate apartments, homes, or whatever. Once they start moving in that direction, separate cars and whatever else, and you get your bank account, I get mine. I take
Mhm.
you off of this. You get your own life insurance, you get your own medical, whatever. Then, okay, that person is their mind is pretty much made up. They've gone that
Right.
far. S-
Mhm.
Maybe at that time it may be safe, but again, I think it's a good thing just to let people take care of themselves. That's a lot of stuff to do. Get
Yeah.
yourself together.
Yep.
You got some things going on. You get your business together, your affairs in order.
Mhm. You know what I think it is? Because this is a really important factor. I would want to know who ended this relationship. Who ended it? Who made the decision? Who's the one who walked out? Because that's the person that's done, right? It,
Ah,
you see what
okay.
I'm saying? So if the guy, right? So if you're a woman in this situation and you speak to the guy and his wife left him. Mm-mm. Nope. He's not done. She got done. which means if she just turns around one day and says, you know what, the grass really isn't greener, I want you back, he's going to give it a shot, right? Likewise, if it was the woman who got left, right, she's always the one who's like, give me another chance, I love you, standing outside of the apartment with the boombox, right? Like, it's whoever gets left is gonna forgive and give that person a second chance, because they're not done. They're not the ones who ended this. They might have been miserable, things might have been terrible, they might have been the one who was cheated on or whatever, but at the end of the day, until you are done in your heart and soul, until it's that switch flips off in your head,
Yeah.
you will always think it is a better option to stay and try to fix things with, the spouse or this very long-term relationship that you had, rather than to move on to someone new.
That is that's an excellent point.
Thank you.
Yeah, who's the one wanted to end it? Because we know our R. Kelly song, when a woman's fed up, no matter how you beg, it's over. And I discussed that on Keep the Beat, and I'm sure you guys are familiar with Keep the Beat, and if you're not, I'll have to show you. I can show you, but I can tell you. How about that?
Hi, this is Char Willie from the JustAskChar Advice channel. Join me and Classic Ruby for a radio segment called Keep the Beat. We broadcast every Wednesday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time from Classic R&B Jams, CRBJ. We interact with the audience in the chat room, where you'll have access to emojis, gifts, and the lively conversation. Press the icon that is a speaker, then press play radio. After a 15-second commercial, all the fun will begin. If you miss the live broadcast, you can listen to the replays from Mixcloud. Follow my channel on Mixcloud, JustAskChar Advice channel, and you will receive notifications when the show has been uploaded. We hope to see you soon, and until then, enjoy this show.
And if y'all haven't been there, I'm telling you, we bring gift working in the chat to a whole new level. Trust me. You don't want to miss it.
Okay. But yeah, usually when we're done, we're done. And no words from you, Don Teasy. Okay? Don't make me sing that song, your favorite song. But yeah, when we're done, we're done. We had enough. I don't care what you do. You can sing at the top of your lungs. You show up with roses and whatever you want to do. Is like, I'm done. Deuces.
Because you know what I think it is too with men, and not all men, right? But I'm gonna say men get a little bit colder and more clinical when they're emotionally hurt, and so they can maybe make a rush to judgment, right? They can just impulsively snap everything off and be like, screw this, forget it, whatever. But they might be able to be talked off the ledge at some point. Whereas when a woman gets to the point where she's done, man, she has forgiven you 2,455,000 times, right, this year. And so it's just like, no, like, there's no more forgiveness. There's no more, the well ran dry, and then I still gave you an extra 10 chances. To just prove that even one thing you say is not a lie, to just prove just one day you can not come home telling me some other girl's pregnant, or you know what I mean? Like, whatever the issue is. Like, I gave you ample years of my life, right? Mary J, 11 years out of my life. Besides the kids, I have nothing to show, right? I mean, that's like, you hear women doing it. They won't stay for 6 months when the going gets tough. They'll stay for years. So when they're done, they're done. They didn't rush to judgment. They had they probably lost friends and family over their friend saying, girl, you better leave him. No, but I love him. He my man. I'm going to stand by my man. Okay, I don't want to hear about it again. I don't want to hear about it. You know, probably went through all of that and everything. Now you made her look foolish for the umpteenth time. She's done. When she finally gets there, nope. No one can talk her off that ledge. It'll take a longer time, but no one's talking her off that ledge. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's over. It be over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I do wonder who started it, who wanted to end it first.
Right.
And I don't know. I'm thinking about it. I can't come up with who.
Mm-hmm.
I can guess, of course, but with the woman, I don't know. Especially since she's ready to get back out there, going online. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Mm,
say she got left because
yeah.
she got left, and that's why the divorce isn't final, but she's going through it right now, and that bed is cold and lonely, and she's so sad. Her love just got ripped away, like she didn't even see it coming, like
Mm,
she wasn't ready for this, right? That's why she wants to fall in. She doesn't want to just fall into bed. She wants to fall into a new marriage, like right away. Like she's ready for that. That's why she's dealing with this the way that she is, I think, right? Because if you think about it, the way she's dealing with this
mm,
is really strange. It's strange. Like, you don't really know this guy all that well, right? When the
right.
guy said, I'm going back to my wife, and then he calls you back, and then it was never the same. Like, what motivation just from right there did you have to stick around? Like, just from right there, you should have been like, it's not the same. I don't know. I guess the initial magic's gone. Oh well, on to the next, right? Because you're just barely dating, getting to know people again. You just
Right.
right, unless you're trying to jump into like create an insta marriage, insta family, insta everything because you're so lonely because you got left and you didn't see it coming.
I think she's gonna keep going with this, whenever he's done with her. And I'm thinking that because he told me that he was sleeping with other people like it's not supposed to hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that would have been enough right there, at least for me anyway.
Yep.
Uh, so you got the wife, okay? You try it back with her. So now you're sleeping with her. Who knows who she slept with? And that's your wife. So why would you use protection if that's not something you guys did in the first place? So that's one. And then
Mm-hmm.
he's out there with someone else. That's two or three, maybe four. And then there's you after you talk to him. And then you spent the night, well, I guess her place, I don't know. So, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that is unfortunate that um, to keep receiving that type of disrespect, because that's what that is.
Yeah, but I'm gonna tell you, I blame the man for the first time. He's because after that, she just kept going. Yeah, please, sir, can I have some more? Please, sir, can I have some more? Because I don't understand, right? You can't treat me that way. That would you can't treat me that way. I deserve better than this. I'm sorry, I have standards. You're not living up to them. Next. But none of
Yeah.
that came out of her mouth, right? She just went, okay, quietly, silently, while it ate her up inside, hurt her soul. Maybe she told some girlfriends over some wine. But what she didn't do is say, oh, hell no. No, 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 no. You can't treat me this way. Like, I'm a great woman. I got a lot to offer, got a lot to give. I've been totally down to, stand by my man and be by your side or whatever it is. But you know what? No, sir. You already told me once that I don't live up to, right? As in, I don't live up to the memory of your living wife, right? I just don't live up to that. That tells me that in comparison to her, in your heart, for the rest of my life, I will never be above her in your heart. That's it. That right there already told me everything I needed to know about this relationship for me. For me, you told me this girl is crazy. You probably told me all kinds of terrible things about her, and you were only married to her for 6 months. You told me you rushed into this marriage with this girl and whatever, and yet you can't let her go. You've been dating me for, I don't know, aroundish that time. It's not hard to get to 6 months, right? And yet
Right.
you could drop me for her. You can't even just keep me as the only one you're talking to. You can't invest your time and energy on a daily basis to call me, to text me, to whatever, just on a daily basis. But you married this woman like very, very quickly. And even though she's a head case, you dropped me for her the second she beckoned for you. If that doesn't tell you that you literally mean almost nothing to this man, I don't know what will tell you that. Like, and if what we're saying here doesn't tell you that you have a very low self-esteem and a low self-concept, a very low sense of self-worth. Now, I don't know, maybe you're divorced, maybe the relationship that you're ending now, the divorce you're going through, maybe that has shaken all of that. Maybe that relationship was really bad, it was abusive, or maybe it was just negligent. Maybe the husband constantly, implicitly told her at least that she wasn't worth anything. She wasn't good enough. He would act right if only she was this, and this, or something. I don't know. But I do know something broke her self-confidence, self-esteem, self-worth, and she doesn't think very much of herself. She really doesn't, because I don't see how you could be going through the craziness and the pain and the agony and all the everything that goes around a divorce, right? I mean, you end up losing friends, you lose memories, you
Yeah.
lose family, you lose so much through a divorce. And I don't see how you could be going through all of that and willing to so quickly attach yourself to a man who treats you like this. Like, and then what? Are you going to live with this forever? At some point you're going to wake up, 12, 15 years later, again having to rip your whole entire life apart because now you finally got your head on straight? Like, what are you doing? No.
And he's actually showing you that he would leave. He has no
Mm-hmm.
problem leaving. And as you had mentioned earlier, who left? Did she leave her husband or did he leave her? And I am leaning toward he did leave her.
Yeah.
And with that being said, this is a sign that this dude would do the same thing. So why hold on to him?
Exactly. Just like I don't, but
Hmm.
see, women don't realize that. So some women, what they don't realize is that they are creating their own misery because they are never actually solving the internal problems that's making them put out a particular energy and then therefore draw in a particular type of person into their atmosphere. They don't realize that they actually have power over that. So when the umpteenth guy who ain't shit ends up in their atmosphere again, then they really do start to believe, well, I guess all men are just like this. So you're basically picking the best looking one out of the worst because they're all going to act like this anyway. Don't matter if they make money, they're all going to act like this anyway. And so you start believing those kinds of lies because you don't understand, at first at least, you don't understand that you're creating it. And then even when you start getting an inkling that you're creating your own destruction, you're scared. It's the hardest thing in the world. It's harder to do than staying in an abusive relationship. It is harder to do than living your whole entire life alone. It is harder to do than living on the streets and eating out of dumpsters. The hardest thing in the world that you have to do is face yourself, dig real deep, face yourself, and recognize all of these things that you are terrified to know lie within your heart. It is the hardest thing to do. And so they will avoid doing it, even though it's making them miserable. They're hoping there's another way. There isn't.
Wow. That's sad. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking too, if you're on the dating site and You got your profile up. And you're a young lady. I'm pretty sure other people are reaching out to you. Try to date some of those other people.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to just leave it to this one guy. That's just one person. That's it.
Right.
Accept some other dates or whatever.
Right. You know what? I wonder if this woman has been, at least in the clouds. I mean, maybe she's actually been an active participant, or she's in the clouds and she's going to channels and she's listening to these channels talk about how men would never want women like her. Right?
Oh, yeah, that is the thing
Mm-hmm.
for the past 2 years now, I think, or something like that.
Exactly, right? So there's this so if you're dark skinned, you're over this age, because remember the wall's at 35. God forbid you have children, even though they were from the marriage, so no man's gonna want you. So you better take what you can get. And I mean, and listen, I want to be clear. I'm not throwing shots at the big viral video we're talking about this week. I'm literally saying this. I've heard exactly what I said come out of many people's mouths. They say these things. I don't even care if you don't have kids. If you're dark skinned and over 35, you've hit the wall, I don't want you no more. You got to be young and beautiful to be dark skinned and get a man. I've heard people say things like this, right? Or, God forbid you're 40 pounds overweight, no man's going to want you. God forbid you're this, no man's going to want you. And they go, and it's almost like when you're watching a train wreck and you can't look away. Rather than going to find content that disputes this, because trust me, there's lots of it on YouTube, they keep watching more and more and more of that content because they're trying to find the special code to break this somehow, right? But they don't realize they're flooding their brain. They're flooding their whole entire identity with these negative messages that tell them that no matter what, no man's going to want them. So they better take whatever trash life throws their way, because honestly, that's the best they can do. They better not be too picky. Otherwise, they're not being a good woman. They're not being submissive. That's probably why your man left you. I mean, you hear people say things like this, right? So it's like,
You're right. You are right.
she probably don't realize, like, no, baby, no, these people are lying to you, first of all, because it's called rhetoric. Everyone has some. And a lot of people, you have to realize who people are talking to. Even if they claim that it's advice for women, when they're saying things like that, they're not speaking to the women. They're speaking to the men who agree with them, right? Because those men have been waiting their whole lives to hear a guy get up on a panel and say these things, right? So they can hoot and holler and cheer. Yeah, that's right. Ha! These girls have been calling me an educated lame and not dating me my whole life. Yeah, you hit the wall. Ha! Right? Like they're excited. So you got to recognize there's a lot of entertainment to YouTube. Okay. And everyone's got a niche. So you got to go find a different niche if you've been flooding your brain with these messages that tell you that this is all you can get, because it's not at all. Trust me. I have seen y'all, I'm going to tell you. Okay, listen, I'm not saying, and yes, someone told me today that my new display picture looks like a vampire. I'm good with that. Thank you.
Okay.
Right? Y'all know my vampires are my people, right? So it's fine. Thank you. But what I was gonna say is, now y'all have seen me. Now I'm not saying I'm a 10, whatever, and literally I make no effort to try to be one of the little pretty frou-frou girly girls. Cool. But what I do know is that I'm reasonably attractive, right? Like I'm nothing to sneeze at. I'm all right? So you should see the woman that my ex-boyfriend, the one I was dating before I met my husband, you should see the woman that man married and has children with now. You should see her. Shar, this woman is as round as she is tall. I'm not lying. She is so round and she is so short. So it literally makes her like a giant grape with like little teeny tiny feet and arms poking out. I'm not kidding. She's as round as she is tall, and she's ugly. And I'm not trying to be mean. I'm trying to be real. I'm saying this because it's true. She's ugly. She knows she's ugly. She says she is not a pretty girl. She's not a pretty girl at all. She's like like a brown Guyanese type of girl. Like, you know, she's not black, she's like brown Guyanese, not black Guyanese. And like she ain't pretty. She's not the pretty one in her sister. She's not the pretty one in her family. She's not the pretty one in her culture. She's not the like. She's literally the bottom of the totem pole. But my ex, okay, fine. He's a nerdy dude, whatever. Well, he's cute, you know. And then he got himself a little body after 30. He finally stopped looking like a 12-year-old boy. Cool, good for him. Yeah, right. So he's actually, in comparison to her, like just night and day. But guess what? She got him.
Right.
And then he married her. That's what he wanted. He married the girl. He's given her at least 2 children, from my knowledge. Dude, anyone can get, and okay, to be fair, because I'm gonna let you know, I'm pretty sure he's still a giant cheater. But even though he's cheating on you, you'll never know by the way he treats you or the time he spends with you. He will spend all his time with you and he will treat you like a queen. He will be the greatest man on the face of the planet to you. He's so sweet. He's amazing. He really is. People will tell you how lucky you are to be with him all the time. And on top of that, he'll take care of you. He paid off all of my debts his first year out of school, when he paid off his debts, because he wanted to basically make sure we both had a clean slate before getting married, because, you know, marriage was on our minds.
Oh, okay.
Right? So he's a good guy, right? Very sweet to his mother and his sister. He's a great guy. He's a great catch, other than the fact that he's, you know, a living, breathing cheat. Like, that's what he is. He's just a cheat. But other than that, he's amazing, right? And so, yeah, okay, if you're okay with the lack of fidelity part, you're going to get someone who's incredible. And trust me, I'm sure you look better than this woman. So do you see what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure you look better than this woman. I'm just being real. You know what I mean? Like, we got to stop downplaying ourselves. Like, yes, I do think sometimes we have to be more realistic. Sometimes we can have too inflated a sense of ego. But dude, sometimes we just downplay ourselves too much. We don't give ourselves enough credit about what we could actually get, and we don't realize how much we are literally putting out an energy, like a beacon to the world sometimes, telling the world, hey, listen, I think I don't deserve too much.
Yeah, if you put that on you, people see it. They will treat you that way. It's like you're wearing that label, and they can smell it on you. Just think about how men can smell a woman that's desperate. They can smell it.
Yeah.
And as far as women, we can smell a man when he's desperate. So they have that odor. Just have to pay attention to it. I'm thinking also too, while we're discussing this, is maybe she's just holding on to the fact that he said he's falling for her. You think those words might have just something that she may be holding on to?
Oh yeah, for sure, because it fits into so many of these different pathologies we talked about tonight.
Yeah.
It fits in, right? Because if you're trying to make an instant marriage, instant family, you're just trying to replace the man who just left your bed. And you don't really care what the standards are, as long as you don't have to go out there in the world and say, I'm a loser and I used to be married, but now I'm not. Now I'm alone. Now I'm an alone loser, while my ex-husband gets freaky with his new beautiful cheerleader or whatever, right? So then I think that makes it easier, because if a guy said, well, I'm falling for you, man, that might have taken her 2 years last time to hear, right? Like, you heard that in 45 seconds. Like, oh, okay, well, he's acting a little sketchy, but he's falling for me, so it's okay. And he married the last one, like, lickety split, right? So he's falling for me. It's okay. It's okay. This one will just marry me. I mean, sure, we got problems. Sure, he got problems, but, you know, he'll just marry me quick and it'll be fine, right? Because he's falling for me. Like that means anything. Not I'm in love with you. Not staring deep into your eyes, stroking the hair away from your forehead as he tenderly caresses the side of your face. Right? You know what I mean? Like, it's probably some text message. Girl, I think I'm falling for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you know, sometimes we hold on to words. And I like how someone explained this one time that they were saying that's how in the beginning, when if you subscribe to the Bible, how Eve was having conversations with Satan in the garden or whatever. And you have to think about that. If they're talking, that's how it starts. When a guy say, "Hey, how you doing? Could I talk to you for a minute?" That's his way of getting into you. That's the beginning. It's like, okay, let me get into that psyche. Let me see what I can drop, little, uh, nuggets, so I
Mhm.
can, keep on, so I can get you. And that's where it
Right.
all begins. So I'm thinking that's where it is. This discussion, whatever else he had said to her. And as women, we get to imagining things like, well, I could see this and I could see that. Oh, and what if this happened? Oh, we could do this together.
Mhm.
And next thing you know, you done created a whole new life with someone you don't know that you just swipe right with. We
Girl.
see it along on internet all the time.
Mhm. All the time. It is crazy. In this day and age, Shar, like I've heard it one too many times actually, almost to a scary level of people who are rushing into these kind of like instant relationships, instant marriage level type relationships. Like they're going from, hey, well, I've talked to this person a lot online, or while gaming with them for 6 months, and so I went to Florida to visit them, and then I just never left, and so now we've lived together inside the same house for 6 months, and I proposed like a month after I moved in, and now she's not trying to plan the wedding, and like I just don't understand, why does she want to marry me? I'd like, come on, right? I mean, I moved all the way down here just for her, right? I was supposed to have a wife already, we already lived together, I don't get it, right? And they're freaking out about it. It's like, that it's, I think there's a false sense of intimacy that's coming with this internet age, where we almost don't understand relationships anymore,
Yeah.
because we never get face to face time with humans anymore. We really don't. Even when we're with humans normally, especially with the younger generation, we're texting someone who's not with us, so we don't understand what those types of relationships are supposed to feel like. And so when we are on a date physically with someone, we could actually probably overvalue that. We're not used to a person looking us in the eyes or touching us at all, like face to face, to talk to us. If it's wild, and I think likewise, it's on the other side of that, typing words on a screen makes us feel artificially closer to people than we really are. And so as a result, we think that, oh my God, we've bonded so deeply because I've typed words on a screen to this person over 6 months or a year. But what we don't realize is, like, this could be all fictitious, or some of it could be completely fake, or because you could just create a persona, but this person, you don't have to see them and see what their face looks like. You see the emojis all the time. Oh, he laughs so much. Well, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's deadpanning the whole time he's putting those laughing emojis, right? But he knows that's the socially acceptable thing would be to laugh, and he doesn't feel a laugh in his heart. He's actually angry, but you don't know that because you can't see
Right.
his face. Like, you don't actually know people from some words on a screen.
Right. That is true though. And on a lot of letters that I get, I always tell people you don't have to, because I get more guys writing than women.
Mm,
And I tell them, I said, you don't have to, go spend a lot of money. You need to know, and you be quiet, Don Teasy. I'm telling you that now. Um, you can go and sit in a park, but I always say a coffee shop because those are really popular now. I mean, that's the thing now. Go to a coffee shop, hang
mhm,
out. I mean, even if you don't drink coffee, they have tea, bottled water, juice, um, all kind of stuff, along with just drink some water. Just
Right.
it doesn't matter. Just go there and you're open in an open place. You don't have to spend much money. The most you would pay is what? Um, $5, something like that. And even if you get bottled water, I don't think they'll charge you more than $3. Get that. Sit there, have a conversation, and read that body language. You need to do that. Don't you know that's what people do when you go on interviews? They're reading your
Mm-hmm.
body language. They're watching you. Don't think they just listen to the words that's coming up out your mouth. They are looking at the body language. They're seeing what's going on. That tells a lot. Okay, you could sweat. You may be a little nervous. Okay. You might bite your nails. You may be a little nervous, but there's some other telltale signs that's going to tell them that, oh, wait a minute, this doesn't look right. Something's not. I don't know. And you need to do that. You need that face-to-face contact. Now,
Right.
I understand now. Come on. There's a pandemic going. So okay, that's a little bit different. We got to maybe put that on hold. But that's what people need to do. This online, and I don't know if with the dating sites now, if they're doing video, I don't know. From what I understand, they have been doing is just texting, writing this, and that's all. But you need that face-to-face contact because what you gonna have sex online? I mean, I know people do it, but more than likely you want to be face to face, don't you? So you might as well get to know, look at that person, look with the if their eyes divert different ways. I mean, it's just so much telltale. You get that the women have intuition. You feel that funny feeling,
Right.
hey, it's time. No, this don't seem right. I don't know. And
Mm-hmm.
even they can even touch you online. I mean, on your hand or maybe your leg, and it doesn't feel right. It just
Mm-hmm.
doesn't feel right. I'm trying to think if I ever dated a guy, he touched my hand and I jumped.
I have, or I've gotten
Mm.
the skin creepy crawl. Like, I'm a really antisocial human, though. So to be fair, like my family, my husband, there's a lot of people that, depending on the mood I'm in, if you touch me right then, I like my whole entire body wants to recoil away from you because I don't like to be touched. Like, I'm very antisocial. Um, there's only two exceptions to that, and that's my baby sister and my godson. They, for some reason, their touch doesn't bother me. They might be bothering me, but their touch doesn't bother me. But I'm just like that. And so I'm extra sensitive to people who are, there's something real wrong with them. Like if you get too, those people, if they stand too close to me, I'll take a step back because it's just like
Oh,
it's like they have a force field or an energy around them, and I so don't want my skin to come into contact with them that it's like I'll feel it. It's like almost like something physically pushed me, shoved me a little bit away from them. So I know what you're talking about. For me, it's almost like an energy force, though. You won't ever get to touch me because I will like I'll keep my hands behind my back, and like you won't be close enough to me to touch me, sir. Sorry about that. Yeah, no.
and welcome to the panel, Miss Vonda. How are you?
Hey girl, hey.
Hey, Shar. Hey, Ruby. Nice picture, Ruby.
Thank you, thank
Isn't that
you.
nice?
Thanks for having me. Okay, so let's dive right into this. Okay. This woman is asking for advice, and my advice to her would be to put your vagina away, get off of the internet, and concentrate on just yourself. What has happened is that she has started a relationship and fallen for a man who's not available. And he's given her every indication other than saying, hey, I'm not available, that he's not available. He's still married. And regardless of what he said, oh, well, his wife ain't acting right. So we've been together 6 months and we're getting divorced. That's not true. Because the minute she says, "Hey, Poppy, I need to see you. Come on over." What does he do? He drops the new hot potato he has to go back to his wife because he still has feelings for his wife.
Yeah.
Not to mention, he's got a penis problem because he likes to actually take his penis and put it in other women other than his wife and then the chick he's seeing on the side. So he's got a couple of things going on. So what I would tell her is she's kidding herself into thinking that there is some sort of commitment. Just because you like him and he likes you enough to sleep with you doesn't mean that that's a relationship that she needs to take all of her dozen eggs and put them all in that basket.
Facts.
Now, the reason why she probably jumped so quick with this guy is because of some hurt and pain from her previous marriage that she's, and if you want to dull the pain, you want to, feel good. She wants to feel good. And, obviously this dude is very entertaining with his penis. So he made her feel good and he whispered a few things in her ear and she was like, "Oh, I'm back to where I was. I feel whole again." But he's doing all this other stuff and you guys are just like right in the front. You're in the doorway. You haven't even made it in the house. You're in the doorway. You might even still be on the sidewalk outside in front of the house, and all of these things are going on. Something's going on with her. And obviously she's not corrected them or caught up with herself. There sounds like there seems to be some esteem problems. And a lot of times you got to work on that. I am not a big proponent or a big fan of, jumping from one relationship to the next. Sometimes you need some space and time to be by yourself and to get things together. Because if you're getting out of one relationship, which was a marriage, when you're in a marriage, you're building. So you're breaking that off, tearing it off. The marriage is you're tearing it off. So there's some rebuilding you need to do, but you already want to, jump into a new, steady relationship with John.
Right.
She's on a road and a trajectory for some negative, horrible stuff happening, and it's not going to go anywhere good. This guy, I think, is a wash. He served his purpose. He made her feel good, but she shouldn't have fallen. She needs to just step off. Like I said, put her vagina away, get off the internet, and just kind of deal with herself and get her issues corrected, get it cleaned up because it's not right.
Yep. Okay. I 100% agree.
Well, welcome to the panel music.
Uh-oh.
What would you like to say, sir?
Uh-oh. Elder music. All right. Let's hear it.
Well. First and foremost, if this young lady thought by any stretch of the imagination that she had a catch, that's her stupidity. First of all, married 6 months and you're already having problems, that's not a red flag for you?
No, she's dating him for 6 months.
That's a crimson flag if I ever seen one.
Okay, so he was already married, but in 6 months of however long he was married, she comes to find out that he's having a problem with his woman, and you still dating him. So you like dating married men with problems? What you expect?
Well, he's separating from his wife,
And I got some swampland in Florida right after I tell you that I'm gonna separate from my wife. See what the problem is. It was with her is she allowed him to put it all the way up in her. Now she pee crazy about him. That's the only
he
time
hit the wall. He hit the back.
Music. I don't think I ever heard that. She let him put it all the way up in her.
That's right.
Okay, now. All
she
right.
Can't get that itch. She can't get that itch. It's like that crack fiend that has that. I gotta go get that next one. The only place she can find it at is right there. I got to get that scratch. Right there. It's the only one that seems to be able to reach that. So with all that garbage and all those lies and all that deceit, that none of that makes a difference to her as long as she's getting some of that penis, even if it's just for the weekend.
Yeah. That's so short-lived, and that's where she's making a mistake because the 15, 20, maybe 35 minutes that, you know, he's putting it down, he putting it all the way up in her.
Standing up in it.
Afterwards, it's like, okay, then what's going on? You have this empty feeling, and then you're wondering, I wonder where he's at. I wonder if he's thinking about me. I wonder when can I see him again. He is actually sharing his penis with so many different people that he doesn't have time to be thinking about you.
And the wife is in the same as no better than the woman, because where do you go when you disappear for it? Where do you go when we argue? Who are you with? So she's no different. She's absolutely no different. They're both in the same boat. They're both being played by him. They're both being played by him.
The only thing is with the wife, the difference is with the wife is that he does have an attachment. He has an attachment to her, and there are papers. You're absolutely correct. There's a legal attachment, and he may have some sort of feelings for her.
Right. He can't walk away from the wife without any repercussions, but he can walk away from the not wife anytime he wants to. And all he has to do to find out whether she wants to talk to him again is just type in those simple 5 words. Hey, you. 6 letters. Hey, you. If he gets an automatic response, cool. What you doing? I was reading down in the chat room earlier where you ladies were talking about voices. The voices communicate everything.
Yeah.
You tell me if a man, ladies, come on now, be honest. You tell me if a man talks to you the right way over the phone, he can't get you out your drawers when he get there?
No, not me, but I hear your point. I think there's, it depends on your approach and your belief system around sex. And this is why, to me, this whole hoe culture / casual sex culture is terrible for women. And as women call this sexual liberation, it is actually literally what is imprisoning and destroying them. Because this culture, this casual sex culture was not made for women, right? Because yes, in general, right, you know, women are people too, and they've got hormones too, and, you know, whatever, they want to just let loose too. So when you've got, you know, the media and all these rhetorics, and, well, if you're a good feminist and you believe what we say all pounding into your head, that, you know, if you don't just have sex whenever you want with whoever you want and whatever, well, then you're holding back women's liberation. So you start engaging in casual sex, even though realistically it's going to be destructive to you. This is what you see. You see women making all kinds of horrible choices. And then as soon as they sleep with these guys who treat them terribly, now they think, well, we're basically married, because a woman's brain is almost trained to think that way. That's why it's kind of good that you have a society that low key slaps you down for, you know, being a little too loose, because it's actually protecting you in a way, right? It's protecting you from yourself, right? It's making you think twice about whether or not you're going to sleep with this guy, because you should be very careful about, as a woman, who you sleep with. We're not men. Men could sleep with someone, never think about it again, never cared, never feel nothing about it, sleep with her multiple times, still not remember her name. Men are different than women. We're not like that. We get an emotional attachment, even if people we hate, even if people we despise. I think you're a disgusting person. Then we sleep with you, and then we suddenly feel differently about you. I think Living Single, they actually explored that with Max
and Kyle.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Remember that?
You know what? That you're absolutely correct with that. I mean, and I think that is so funny, because, you know, I'm just sorry, just for me, I'm not sleeping with somebody I don't like. I don't care if I.
That's almost hard. That's hard to do, isn't it?
I'm sorry. It just, that for me does not compute, you know. So no, that's not happening. But I see exactly what you're saying. That's why I love to watch their characters, because to me it was just so funny, and it was like, oh my God, how you guys hate each other and the horrible things you guys say to each other, and then you turn around and you know, you lay down with each other, and they actually fell in love, but they couldn't stand each other, and I'm like, oh no.
But see, that was the sexual buildup for them.
But that's just like if Fred and Aunt Esther got together. You see how they went at it. Fred and Aunt Esther. Oh, they probably would have tore it up, you know, had they got together. But I will agree with you, Ruby. You know, women are not built like men, And
thank God.
And the attachment that women have with men that they share their bodies with, that intimate moment is so different. A man can lay down with a woman and not think twice about it and be on about his business. The woman lays down with the man and she's like, oh, I wonder what he's doing. Is he thinking about me? Or I can remember, she's playing the scene back in her head 1,000 times. My thing is, and this is one thing I often wondered, and and this is just a question, like, for ladies, that, let's say, you've had a lot of boyfriends and every boyfriend you slept with. My thing is that you can't sleep with everybody. And do women feel like, okay, well, I've already had sex, so that means I'm already open doors. So if I'm dating, then, part of the dating is having sex. And to me, I don't think that part of dating is part of sex, necessarily, because everybody, you can't sleep with everybody. You have 20 boyfriends. Does that mean you have to have 20 penises?
No, thank you.
Well, no.
I agree with you, Char. No, thank you.
That's why you let them go early.
You might have slept with 2 of them, 3 of them, but all 20 of them just because. No, it doesn't have to be that way.
Well, actually, they don't even get to boyfriend status. So I guess I can't really say it that way. You could be talking to a guy for a week or so and you're like, nope, you're not it.
Not my type.
So, yeah. I look at it that way. But going back to what Music's saying about that talking, that's a big part. We have no idea what the finesse is online, what he told her before they actually got together, and then the sex came, and that was wonderful maybe to her. And then the other things that he say to her when he does, talk to her and text her and all those type of things. And think about the fraud that you find online. It's just so, you wondering why women are forking over all this money over to someone they haven't met. It's because they enjoy those words that person is saying to them.
I guess. But
I mean, ladies, I mean, it doesn't. Of course, it doesn't fall for. Not all ladies fall for that, but I can tell you just from my own experiences, there's enough of them out there. There is enough of them out there that type words are subject to interpretation. When you type something down, it's up to the person that's reading it. But when you hear someone and when they're speaking to you, there's no separation with words. What do you mean by that? Yeah, and then you can answer right away. But when you're typing something to someone, especially when you're in these online chatting rooms, they can tell you anything they want to, typing it. But when you get to that point of talking to someone on a daily basis, he finds out your likes and your dislikes and throw this at you and throw that at you. Next thing you know, I'm a man, so I can say, yeah, of course, we use our voices sometimes to get what we want. And if I gotta speak a good game to get you up in where I want you at, then by more power to me. The game is to be told and not sold sometimes, and that's just bottom line to it. Is what it is. And some women, are voice driven. They really are. And then some women that aren't. For those that use their voice for that tool, you run into that type woman, no matter what you tell her, it's not going to work. You move on from it. But those ones that, a simple, hey, you will get you in the open door. And you not to use the word exploit in a bad light, but you exploit the opening that you have. Just like being on the football field, you use the right blockers, and if you find open daylight, you run towards it. In this case, all he needed was the hey you, and he was right back in her good graces. Hey you. If she had no intents on being around him, talking to him, or ever having any contact with him, she could have blocked him on every social media site that she had. No one uses landlines much anymore.
Yeah.
So the punishment that she received. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I might have interrupted you. I didn't mean to do that.
No, I was just saying the punishment that she received and the questions that made her come to you for advice. It's self-explanatory. I mean, garbage in, garbage out. I hate to keep repeating myself, but you know, she went to the garbage pile to pick up some garbage. What did she thirst? What did she think she was getting? A jewel?
Also, back to that talking, um, some guys, you got to think about, you may say, you'll see a guy with a woman, and you're like, how did he get her?
Gift of gab.
And it's not the way he looks, the money he has, anything. It's just something, the way he talks to her, how he's able to connect with her. By talking to her, she was able to be finessed. And that's just how it is.
But communication is very, very important.
Mhm.
Now, I mean, you think about it like this. You know, is a woman going to be responsive to a man, or positive responsive to a man who's calling her a bunch of H's, a bunch of B's, and cussing her out and going up one side and down the other? Or is she going to be a lot better to a man who's, you know, speaking nicely to her, speaking softly to her, speaking gently to her? You know, you have to think about it. It's like, you know, just like with the man, are you going to really, you know, be attracted to a woman who's cussing you out and calling you every dusty name in the book? Or if she's speaking nice and soft to you, and she has some kind words for you, and, you know, you're going to be more attracted to that. And you start with the good voice. You start with some sweet talk. It's called sweet talk for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you speak that way to her, and of course it's coupled with other things. It's not just a gift of gab. You know, I know some men who are very slick with their tongues, you know, but you already know what he's all about. But it's like, damn, you are really slick with it. You know, that's good. And you just be so like, dang, that sounded so good, you know. But if, you know, you're on the outside, you can look at it and be like, okay, I already know what he's about. But the words, the way that he speaks. And some men know how to, you know, cater to a woman's ego, just like some women know how to cater to a man's ego. And a lot of times that wins over, because you can't tell me you've never seen, how did she get him? Just like you said, how did he get her? You know, it's the obvious visual mismatch that we have all seen. Like, what the hell? You know, because I mean, and that's just us being superficial, because things are not always about looks. You know,
I mean, in the Western world, there are a lot about looks, but no, you're right. You know, I would add something else though, because here's the thing, right? And so there are some people, what you have to do, right? The most effective daters are people who are good at effectively appraising their prey and figuring out what it is that they need to stroke in that person to get the desired response, right? Because it's true, right? Because not everyone pray. Yes. Listen, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not calling every person out there dating a predator in a bad sense, but that's what it is. Let's be real. When you dress up in a certain way, ladies, you know, with your FM heels and your FM dress and your hair in a certain way, you're trying to get a particular kind of man who has a particular kind of mindset, right? Just like if you showed up and to a poetry bar and you put on the kind of ragged looking dread wig that you have, and you know, you're trying to look all hippie, you're trying to get a particular kind of man who has a particular kind of mind, right? That's i.e. your prey, right? So you have to figure out what works. Not every lure works for every type of fish, right? They're all fish, but not every fish snaps at the same thing. So you got to kind of measure your prey. And so the most effective people are the ones who know that the same thing doesn't work on everyone. So they're very good at assessing you, and based on looking at you and your mannerisms from across the room, and then, you know, maybe about 10 sentences back and forth, they're very good at assessing what part of you it is that they need to stroke. And I mean the intangible parts of you, in order for them to get where they want to get with you, right? So, for example, for me, and actually a lot of girls, I guess, who get showered with compliments a lot and get their ego stroked constantly, it's not a particularly attractive thing to have someone stroke your ego, because it's boring almost. It gets to the place where you're over it. Like, I know I'm beautiful, thanks, you're so original, oh my god, you're the first person to ever tell me that, thanks. Right? And you're done with it.
Your laughs.
But it's true. You're done with it. I don't want to hear it. Right? So a guy, right now, some of those women, because I'm not one of them, some of those women, if you're mean to them, right, like literally mean to them, that's the only thing that's going to work for them. Right? They have never had anyone be mean to them in their lives, and they have just a low enough self-esteem that that's perfect. Right? I don't want you to be mean to me. I love someone who, if you're going to compliment me, you give me, like, you just notice something about me no one else would have noticed, and normally about the way I'm moving or something I'm saying, something I'm interested in, something like that. Or someone who can poke fun at me really effectively, right? I like a guy who has enough confidence to walk up to a girl that they're attracted to and then poke fun at her, instead of thinking you need to start praising her and falling all over the floor telling her about how beautiful she is. Oh my god. And, I can't stand that, right? I love that. I think that that is such a refreshing change of pace. I will pay attention to you if you can get me to burst out laughing at myself and do that stop kind of thing, you know? I like that.
Well, that's the difference. You know, that's the difference between a man, you know, finding a woman attractive and, you know, maybe giving her, you know, a compliment, you know, versus, you know, worshiping her. You know, like you said, oh, okay, yeah, I'm beautiful, you know, like I've never heard that before. But he can come up to her and be real to her, and instead of going for the first thing that she's always used to hearing. Now, if he's dealing, you know, he's coming into contact with a woman who, you know, is aesthetically, you know, pleasing, aesthetically beautiful, you know, so she does get told this quite a bit, you know, so that type of chick, that's the last thing she wants to hear, you know.
I got something else, yeah.
And it's not that you have to come up to her and say, hey, what's up, ugly, or what's up, big nose. You don't have to talk. You don't have to be mean and nasty to her. But, you know, sometimes, you know, give her just a little bit. And she's like, oh, so he's not all falling all over me. Okay, good. What is this guy all about? She wants to know more. I want to talk to him because what? He didn't walk through the room and he's not all up on me, but I noticed him before he noticed me, which he probably did notice her. But he's like, you know what? She's probably used to guys noticing her. I'm not about to give her the time of day, you know, and she's over there looking at him like, okay, is he going to say something to me? And she's intrigued. She's intrigued by that man.
Right. I mean, I'm going to be fair, though. If you don't notice me first, I guess we're never going to talk. I'm just being real. That's how I am. You do have to stroke my ego a little bit. I got to know I'm on your radar. Okay.
That's absolutely tragic. That's tragic.
Hey, at least I'm on it.
Right? Ruby, you're a Leo, right?
I am a Leo, yes.
Okay. Yes, you are.
Right? There you go.
Yes, you are.
I am absolutely a Leo. So there are aspects of the Leo personality that very much describe me. So, and at least I'm honest. I'm telling you guys, I'm sure there's guys who are sitting there going, see, women, they always contradict themselves and blah, blah, blah. No, I'm telling you, women are nuanced. Okay? They're nuanced. So I'm telling you, I'm not the woman who, if you don't notice me first, that's going to go well for us. Like, it's not. I have to know you noticed me. But that being said, now, what did you notice? Like, if you smile at me from across the bar and then you come over here and you poke some fun at me and you just wanted to let me know that, I don't know, I spilled some wine on my shirt and it's really obvious from across the room, right? I'll be, shut up! I'll look down and then he laughs and I'm, shut up! Come on! Right? I like that response, right? Someone who can get me to laugh at myself. I love that. I actually like laughing at myself. Probably why I put so much of my actual real like thought processes out there. I like laughing at myself.
I'm trying to do a side note. I think you really like laughing at me because that's what you do on Keep the Beat. That's another story. Continue.
I like laughing at people, including myself. Right? You know, you and me, we are one. So when I laugh at you, I am also laughing at me. No.
So, okay. Let me ask you this, Ruby. So how do you know that? Okay, say like if a guy doesn't approach you first, how do you know that you're not being hunted?
I won't know until he approaches me. Because
Exactly. So he might not approach you the first time, the second time, and the third time he sees you is like, the last 2 times I saw you, I noticed that something's changed about you, but I just can't put my mind on it. Well, what is your eyebrows? Oh, wait a minute. You got a little smoke around your
no.
that looks nice. That looks nice. That looks nice. Real nice.
No, that's
It
not
just,
going to go over well for someone like me
but
because I
but
like a guy who's cocky. I
but
like a guy who has ego and
it
confidence.
just did because I got your conversation. You telling me no, but you still talking to me.
No, you're right, absolutely. And if that's all you wanted was a conversation with someone who you don't get a number from and who won't date you, then that's cool. Yeah, because I'll talk to anyone. I will speak to anyone who comes and says hello to me. I will be like have a pleasant conversation with you, right? But to me, that's not an attractive quality. Someone who's going to sit there and 2, 3, even if I'm still single by the time you finally come up and talk to me, I'm going to take that as you lacking confidence. I like a guy who has a little bit of a cockiness and a little bit of an ego to him. If you remember from Keep the Beat, I like a guy who's got ego. A guy who's got ego isn't
Okay,
sitting there
so
stalking you for 3 or 4 days before it's to the point where he can notice
well,
something changed about you.
well,
That's weird.
the first time I was going to come and talk to you, but you seemed like you were busy with your friends and all that. So I didn't want to interrupt that conversation. I didn't see you for another 2 weeks later. So here we are again.
Creepy.
Creepy.
I'm sorry. I'm telling you, this is not an impressive approach for me. For some women, they might like that, just not for me.
How else am I going to get to know you without talking to you? You saying it's creepy, but if I stand in the corner and just stare at you every time I see you, that to me is more creepier.
Right. So you know what's less creepy than staring at me to the point where you notice what changed about me? That's how hard you've been staring at me. Is why don't you just come up to me and say, excuse me, I don't want to interrupt. You know what? I know I can see you're having fun with your friends. I just wanted to let you know I would really love if maybe we could catch up. Here's my email address. If you ever want to, email me. Because if you do that and then I don't email you, but then the next time I'm alone or whatever, you can be like, hey, remember me, the loser email guy? See, now you've done something that I can respect and I can find attractive. But if you just didn't talk to me and then you let me know you didn't talk to me, oh no, that's not going to work out for you. Sorry. It's just not. I'm sorry. But like I said, different strokes, different folks.
I'm gonna go ahead and scratch this woman off my list because if I don't say nothing to her, I'm wrong. If I say something to her, I'm wrong. I just can't get it right. If I compliment her, she's that's creepy. Okay, ma'am, you have a nice day. Thank you.
You gotta be like what is it, Romy Rome? Hey girl,
right? Call
like
me.
That.
Here's a dime.
You can't call nobody.
Call
you know what?
me.
Listen, no, I said you should talk to me 150%. I'm just telling you, listen, anyone who's come up to me ever in life, I will have a perfectly pleasant conversation with you. That's how I've managed to solve so many random people's problems, right? Because anyone who speaks to me, I'll speak to you. I'm just telling you about, hey, if your purpose was to get my number, if your purpose was to go on a date with me, I'm telling you what I find attractive and what I don't. So what tactic works on me and what doesn't, and it depends on the woman.
And
right?
see that's the thing about it. That's what confuses men. Y'all tell us not to be so aggressive. How you just gonna walk up to me and ask me for my number and don't even buy me a drink or nothing? What is that about? You just want my number? That's it?
No, but I don't speak for all women. I only speak for me.
So that's what I'm saying. So it's trial and error, and I'm sure all the fellas can say every once in a while, you have to take that walk of shame. Sometimes, just by looking at the woman, you know what, I'm gonna prevent myself from having to take that walk of shame this time. Maybe I'll catch her by herself at another time, but today she don't look like she want to be fucked with, so I'm gonna leave her alone.
Cool. But then don't tell me the next time you see me, hey, I saw you last time. You look different. Oh, I was going to approach you last time, but you looked like you were angry, so I decided to leave you alone. That's creep. Don't tell me that. Just don't tell me. Just be like, hey, and then just act like it's the first time.
I get what you're saying, but if you can see me, I'm scratching my head. Well, how am I going to, how do I tell you that I saw you 2 weeks ago?
Don't tell me. Don't. No, don't tell me at all. Don't tell me you saw me ever before right now when you walked up to me. Just don't tell me.
This first time I ever seen you. What's up?
Yeah, like everyone else. That's literally how picking people up goes. Hey, I see this person, I think they look interesting or attractive. I walk up to them, I try to strike up a conversation. Hopefully that goes well enough that we can exchange numbers. That is literally what it is. That's what it's supposed to be. So yes.
Well, there's such a thing called spontaneity. I understand that, but it's shit. I'm telling you, I'm confused, or maybe I'm been
She's
out the
just
game.
different.
Right? Maybe I'm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's just
yeah,
different. I mean,
yeah.
I actually personally, whenever, I meet a gentleman and, it comes to pass that like either we're introduced or we have a moment to talk, however we meet, it's always very interesting to me how he first noticed me.
So that's
And
my point.
from that point that we started talking, that 9 times out of 10, that usually was not the first time he saw me.
That's my point.
He saw me before. And so he's like, oh yeah, I used to see you, you'd come in with your friends and,
That's
you'd
right.
be doing, and I'm like, oh wow. So he was like afar.
He was noticing me
He
from a
was noticing
distance.
me from afar,
He was admiring me from afar.
And I was like,
Wow.
oh, for me, that kind of works for me because,
Right.
so out there, someone is thinking about you and you have no idea
And
that
you don't even know it.
Right. And that's
Right.
cute to Vonda. It's just not cute to me. Do you see what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
that works for me too.
Right. 4 out of 5 surveys said,
There's people in the chat room too who are agreeing with me. But that's what I'm saying. That's why I said people, the best guys with the highest rate of success are very good at evaluating the woman that they are speaking to, because women are nuanced and varied. We like to talk about women or men, like literally 99.9% of us are exactly the same, and that's not true at all. Even we'll have things that were the same on points A and B but totally different on C, D, and E, right? So you can't, the men who are the best at being able to judge that on the fly while standing in front of you having this conversation are the ones that are going to have the highest rate of success, right? That's what I mean, predator prey. They're good at evaluating what's going to catch this prey in front of them.
And that works for Ruby. Like for me, that's fine. You see me and you tell me, oh, I saw you yesterday. I mean, I saw you a couple weeks ago, whatever. I didn't approach you. That works for me. But with Ruby,
yeah,
right.
like you friend zoned yourself, sir, just by telling me that.
There's no room for fate. It must be fate that I run into you again. That don't work with you, Ruby?
Not unless you spoke to me the first time.
Tragic.
Yeah, I like people who have that very upfront attitude, though, right? But a lot of this has to do with not just what I like, right? As far as how I want to be approached, it has to do with what I find attractive in a man and the way that I find that tends to display itself, right? So, and that's what women are really telling you when they say, I like to be spoken to this way or approached this way, or I care if a man, speaks this way or whatever. They're telling you that they associate that with particular traits that most of the men who do that have in common, that they either find attractive or unattractive because they've dealt with it and they either liked it or didn't like it. It worked out for them or it didn't work out for them. And that's something that I think, again, you can't necessarily guess unless you're really good at reading people. Right? Like, and this is why sometimes, just to be safe, for example, I do listen to the words people say. So when a guy says that he's just separated, a guy says he's separated, I take that to mean that him and his wife are just in a fight. I'm being real. I do. I take that as they're just in a fight because I feel like men will use the most definitive language they can. So if he's planning on divorcing her soon, he'll say, we're in the process of a divorce, even if the papers haven't gone out. That because he's not saying it's temporary. He will give you the words that tell you he's done, right?
Yeah.
Well, I was married, but we're about to go through a divorce, right? Or he'll say something. He was wanting to let you. When you say, well, yeah, I'm married, but we're separated right now. That tells me y'all are on a break. Right now, temporary.
It means today. Today we're separated.
While I'm in the club, we're separated.
Yeah. But tonight when I go home, She might let me in the bed. She might not. You know.
Right. Depends on what I smell like when I get there.
Ooh.
Fellas, go to the gas tank, rub some of that, rub some of that fume on you. She'll never pick up the perfume.
Right. I mean, I think that's the thing. Women and men, I think we need to realize this, because I noticed this listening to conversations, is that women think that men think and speak like them, and men think that women, communicate the way they do. They really do. So the problem is that we don't think and speak in the same way, right? Women, we're so wordy, so we could easily use separated and divorced simultaneously, because we use so many other words between and around that you'll definitely get the picture. But a man's going to say one sentence about that, a very short sentence. So every word has a lot of meaning to it. You should pay attention to the feeling of those 6 words, because that's all he's going to say about it, right? A woman's going to say 6 paragraphs. So you can listen to the whole message together, right?
Yeah. It's like, what's the guy, TD Jake, say, when women speak to you, it's like going around the airport. They circle around for hours and hours. By that time, you lose what you really wanted to talk about, so you're just guessing.
Mm-hmm. Right. Because men...
right thing.
Yeah, because men are really bad at this, right? So, and I've noticed that men won't do the one thing that would be helpful, which is, instead of trying to jump on individual words or one individual sentence, which in no way delivers the whole message, just listen to it like someone's reading you a story in a storybook. I'm being real, because, when you listen to the Anansi tales, right? Normally by the time you get to the end of the Anansi story, right, you kind of got the moral already. You know what it is. No one had to tell you, because you listen to it like it's a story. But because men don't communicate like that, they try to analyze what women are saying in the same way that, they would analyze another man speaking. And it doesn't work that way. Women tell a story. They're trying to deliver a feeling, a thought, a whole message to you. And unless you listen to the whole thing, you're going to miss out on a lot.
Well, I'm going to tell you one thing that I do notice about men, and not every man has this quality. But some men are able to really, they really know the essence of a woman. And I have, met some men that they're able to really get into my head, and that really makes an impression on me. And that's just me as a woman. Because he has actually taken the time, and it could be because he's dealt with a lot of different women, a lot of different type of women, and if you're that type of man who's dealt with a lot of different type of women, you've listened to them, you looked at their actions, you've surveyed them, you've studied them, observed them. And so when a man, talks to me and he's able to get inside of my head and tell me some things about me, and I'm just like, what? I'm like, wait a minute, he's like, it just shows me that he's more than just surface. He's gone a little deeper. And for me, that makes an impression. But it also could be that this man has, developed a talent to be able to do this.
Right.
Which actually works for him. And you do run into that. So on all levels, you got to be careful, because you could have the stumbling guy and say, hey, can I get with that? Can I hit it? Or, you got the guy that's lying saying, I love you, can I hit it? Or you got the guy that's going through your head, and can I hit it? It's like one of those 3 you're going to end up with at some point.
Right.
Yeah. Turn it loose.
Yeah. But Vonda, how highly do you value that trait? As in, let's say you were to put all of the 10 most important things from, income, career, whether he's a go-getter, personality traits and characteristics, past life history, whether he has kids or not, and whatever. And then his ability to deeply connect with you, not just the general essence of a woman, but your essence as a woman. Where do you rank that?
You know what? It actually does not have a separate rating for itself. It is coupled with the other things, but it goes to, my connection with that person. You know, you want to be with someone that, you feel a vibe with, someone that you feel good with, someone that you can, relate to, and then of course, he does need to have, a decent job, have, decent morals, all of those things play a part. But someone that I am able to connect to, I place a high value on that, but there could be an absence of a lot of other things that will rank that very low. So for instance, let's say, we had a great connection and he was able to tap into my essence,
but he broke.
But he got 4 baby mamas and he's in between jobs and he's looking for a place to stay. That's like, stop the brakes. It's like, the car is stopping. First, it was speeding down the highway because everything was so good. And then you hear all that. It's like, you know what? This is bad luck waiting to happen. This is a whole bad vibe waiting to happen. It may even be that, I could lay down with this man and have some of the best intimate moments that I've ever had in my life. But at the end of the day, I'm going to wake up empty-handed in the wet spot. No, thank you. We have, at some point, we have to be practical. So it's like, you can't just completely lead with the heart or completely lead with the head. There has to be a balance. For me, there has to be a balance. He can't, look totally good on paper from A to Z, but I'm not attracted to him. We don't have any connection. There's no, intimacy, just between us. There's none of that. That's going to be a complete no as well. So there have to be a number of factors, but with the connection, that's going to rate high, Ruby. But like I say, there will be other factors if they were absent that would rank that to the bottom because there's no future. We can't go any further, if we can't get on the same road and go in the same direction.
I would have to agree, Vonda, Ruby, if you don't mind me sticking in on this one. I think you have to have some kind of connection in order to go forward with, whether you want to go into boyfriend girlfriend relationship. There has to be something about him or her that makes you want to continue in the conversation from its initial, or something about him or her that leads you past the physical attraction to want to find out more about this person, whether it be like Vonda said, some of the things, can you respond to me on that level of, I can say something. It's like, wow, did he just say that? It's just I don't without that connection, not the sexual connection, but without that level of I guess the best word to say is that if you don't have that vibe between each other, then everything else I think will go south. And it doesn't make a difference how much money he makes, because that's you won't be talking about that anyway. It'll make a difference what job he has, because you won't be talking about that anyway. Because if you don't have a connection, you won't go that far anyway. Most people that you meet for the first time, you don't know what their bank account is like, and chances are you don't know where they work until you start talking and communicating and find out. Those are the things that as they say, that you're attracted to and makes you want to connect more to this person.
Right.
Depending on what you find out, it only gets better or it only gets worse. The initial, that initial connection is the vibe, and I'm sorry, I'm really big on a vibe. I'm really big on the feeling that I share, the conversation, the rapport that I built with this person. And that's why, when we had that little conversation, Dre, where you at? The 6 month thing. You know what I'm saying?
Just in time.
Hush your mouth. Don't make me get my belt yet. Wait a minute. So that's what I'm talking about. That 6 month thing. Because with that, there's a rapport that you build up with that person, and it's like the anticipation. I want. You know what, Mr. Music. Settle down.
Okay, I'm breathing.
There you go.
Settle it down.
She said 6 months.
But you guys act like 6 months is a millennium.
It is.
Cut it out.
It is to a man.
You know what?
Music, can I ask you a question though? Can I ask you a question really fast?
Sure.
Have you ever been married?
Yep.
Okay. And so now, and I'm not trying to like, get all up in your,
I'm an open book.
but okay. How long did y'all wait before getting in the sack?
Before the woman that I divorced from, I
Yeah.
think 2.5 weeks.
Okay. And see, that in and of itself then tells you, right? I'm not saying anything bad about her. What I'm saying though is it tells you that both you and this woman both rated sexual compatibility and connection, just a natural one, even if you don't like each other, even if you don't know nothing about each other, a natural sexual compatibility and connection. And, you just have to make sure that the parts fit right automatically and hit the right spots and whatever. Y'all both rated that very high. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And you rated that higher than other things, which is why it came so early for both of you. Right. And I mean, to the point where it must have been really good because, that relationship led to marriage.
Well,
Right.
see, I'll just say it like this. This may sound kind of rude, but I'm that guy. I got to buy before I buy a car. I'm gonna look under the hood. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But
I'm gonna take
dating
it.
is not buying the car.
Months and then get underneath the hood after about 6 months after you know what that interior is like and you done kick the tires a couple times, then you get to drive after you fully get familiar with the car.
Wrong.
Yeah, no, but let's not lie. Hold on, let's not lie. Let's not lie and pretend that you sleep with the woman and the sex is so good you marry her the next day. That's a load of bullshit. So you're not buying the
No,
car anyway. That's what it comes down to.
no.
You didn't buy the
Saying,
car.
no,
You ain't
what I'm
gonna
saying,
buy the car.
no,
And
what
there was
no.
no promise to buy the car when you drove it.
I'll have to be honest with this. The woman that I married at that point in time, if at that point in time we became intimate, and it was I didn't catch that charge that would make me want to say, okay, we probably wouldn't have gotten married.
Right, but let me tell you something. That exact same woman, because I'm assuming that objectively she's attractive, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if she on a 2 week average basis, right? If every 2 weeks she slept with a new man, every 2 weeks until she found the one who wanted to marry her, from the time she became sexually active somewhere in teenagehood until she got married, let's say 10 years later, think about how many people that is. So it's not actually reasonable. And hold on, hear me out. It's not actually reasonable for women to sleep with men at the rate in which men would like to sleep with those women. But, and here's an important factor to that. Nobody, I'm not speaking about virginity until marriage or, abstaining until marriage, because there is a difference. One way or the other, once the sex happens, no one's getting married tomorrow, right? And no one's saying, well, you got to marry me first, right? It just comes down to that it is a little bit unreasonable to think that attractive women who are going to constantly have suitors if they're single would be sleeping with men at a rate of every week or two until they find the right one, and have God knows how many people sleeping with them. I mean, you have to think about how many thousands of men that will be,
Yeah,
right?
see,
Ruby,
That's not
right,
reasonable.
I agree with you. I
But
agree
see,
with you so
there's a
much.
wait a
For
minute. Wait a minute.
once.
Let me say this.
That's right.
Let me
Let
say this.
music respond,
I agree
and
with
then
you.
DeAndre jump in.
See, there's a difference between there's two different women out there, and Dre, get me on this one if I'm wrong.
Oh,
But
go ahead.
there's women, and then there's tramps.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
So when I say that I'm looking for, if I'm out there looking for a woman and we just happen to be sexually compatible with each other, I'm not saying that every woman that I meet or that I date, that if a 2 weeks or 6 months time frame, that I don't sleep with her, or that I find out by checking under each card. No, that's not what I meant at all. But what I'm saying is, if I'm out there looking for marriage material, I'm not looking in the tramp aisle anyway.
But hold on, let me say
that's a
one more
given.
thing about this. Let me say, because here's the problem with what you just said, though, is that you said, hey, you can't know if you have sexual compatibility with the woman until you sleep with her. And obviously, you're not going to have perfect sexual compatibility with every person that you sleep with, right?
But that,
Especially, hold on, especially if you've taken almost no time at all for y'all to really even get to know each other's likes and dislikes in this act, for you to even know if you're just on the surface compatible. So with that being said, right, writing women off as tramps because they slept with a lot of people, Well, that's literally being a hypocrite, because on the flip side of that, what you're saying is when you're dating a woman, well, she's only got a few weeks. She's going to sleep with you. You're going to drop her anyway. You're never going to know if you guys were compatible on any other levels. So one way or the other, you're not taking that time to get to know her anyway. And that's how women become tramps accidentally, is because they go on dating guys. They like these guys. Right. No, it is, because they're not sleeping with one night stands. They're dating these guys. You know, things are going well, and the guy goes, well, okay, time to take it to the next level, right? And then hey, they sleep together, and then hey, a few weeks later they break up over something that's incompatible, and then someone else wants to date her. She dates that person. That can add up very, very, very rapidly, and so now she would be called a tramp, even though she didn't go about it in a tramp-like way.
Well, can I say something? Let me say something. Yeah, let me say something. Right. Let me bring this. Let's bring this into perspective. Right.
Okay. Yes, and good evening, DeAndre.
Good evening, ladies. Good evening.
Sir Petty.
Good evening.
Sir Petty is here. Vonda, Charles.
Welcome.
Let me get my bell. Wait a minute. Let me get my bell.
And Ruby and esteemed elder. You know what I'm saying? Stand back and clutch your pearls. Let me explain something. Let me give you. Remember, we're talking from two perspectives, right? So I'm gonna give you two perspectives, right? And your perspective is, I understand what you're saying, Ruby, but here's the thing, right? Now we have to break this down into categories, okay? All right. Now, sorry to break this to you, but there are more women than men. Sorry, it's part of nature. Yes, it is. There are more women than men. Women outnumber men, right? Now, the feasible men that hit the gene lottery where women are physically attracted to those men, due to certain cultures, right? In certain environments, you know what I'm saying? Like Vonda has her type, Ruby, you have your type, Char has her type. This is a thing, right? Now, the way society is, and I'm sorry to say this, right? And the way the world works, right? Men and women, when it comes to certain things in cultural and societal norms, we're not equal. I can't carry kids for 9 months. Women have a higher threshold of pain than men do. This is a known fact, right? Women can plot and plan for long periods of time and be patient, and you know nothing as a man in kablawi, right? You need one woman. A woman can make a nation and destroy one in one fell swoop. That's it. Right? They say women and children first, then the elderly. They don't say nothing about men, right? Women, then children, not children first, because guess what? The women need to go first because we can make more kids. If the kids die, we got the women. We're covered. And if they live long enough, guess what they're going to be? The elderly. See how that works? So if that is the case, if a man is not moving or dealing with women in a high clip, and what I mean in a high clip, I'm not talking about sexually active, but ingratiating himself, then he is not doing what nature calls him to do, right? We see this in the animal kingdom. We see how this works. Now, because we are higher level beings and we're in society, we have moved forward. Now we have a different scenario. A pretty woman does not have what average and ugly women problems. Pretty women don't have to have sex at a high clip to ingratiate herself with men. Actually, she's actually turning more men down and more suitors because she meets the genome criteria of procreation, right? A woman that is average, and when I mean average, I'm talking about 6s and belows, right? You know what I'm saying? That is average. She has to do more to compete against those other group of women, that small percentage, right? Now, you take that small percentage of women that are at the apex of, you know, just the gene lottery. You take that small group of men that are at that apex, and then you have everybody that falls in between, right? Now, then you understand that there are less men than women. And once men figure this out, oh man, I want the 8 and the 9 to be my main chick, but I can't wait that long because Vonda has standards. Vonda is pretty.
That's what I'm pointing out.
But guess what? I got needs now. So guess what? Sally, you 6? Listen, hey, 2 5s don't equal a 10, but a show equal a 9. If I get in bed together at the same time, oh man, forget Vonda. I got 4 titties, 2 uteruses. I'm winning, right? You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I can't use this woman, right? Because she's not going to be marriage material at the end because she didn't make me wait. It's this weird dynamic about humans. The more someone holds something away from you, the more you want it. Once you get it, man, it ain't really what I thought it was. Right. And
but there's one more factor. One more factor, though. One more factor. Yeah. Because we always talk about, when we have these conversations, they're always very one-sided, right? So they talk a lot about evaluating the women as far as, you know, their hierarchy or rank, right? And then what men want. And what they forget is that on the reverse side of that, you have what women want and men's rankings. And so now we've got the 5 to 7 man, right? Because it's really only the 9s and 10s that have the genetic ability to walk around and deflower everybody, and spread their seed far and wide. And because literally they are genetically programmed to spread their seed far and wide, and people are mostly going to not complain about this and raise their children because at least they have beautiful offspring. This is just reality.
The homosexuals.
Right. Well, you know, yeah, pretty much, right?
There you go.
Genetically, that's what it is. And until they get older, their testosterone starts to drop and whatever. That's when you see those men who were beautiful in their 20s find themselves a wife and a family, right? Because now they're not as beautiful, but they also don't have as much testosterone fueling them. Their arthritis is starting to kick up and blah, blah, blah. All right. But now you got the 5 guy. And here's the thing. The 5 guy is never going to have the privilege of juggling multiple women at the same time. He's just not going to have that. Why? Because he's a 5. And any woman who wants to be juggled wants to be juggled by the 9s and the 10s. That's just what it is. However, the 5 will have the
game. If the 5 has some game, he's.
I was about to say.
I've seen it.
Yeah, but you know what? Exceptions don't prove rules, right? I mean, let's be real. Exceptions don't prove rules. So the 5 gets to win when? The 5 gets to win when the 9s and 10s, the female 9s and 10s, get a little bit older and they start slowing down too. They're not quite as youthful and beautiful and selected as they used to be. And so they start settling down and wanting to think about future and security and family and being taken care of because they understand that they can no longer bounce from option to option to option and always take it for granted that their beauty is going to be a pass to everything. That is when the 5 gets to win because the 5 might end up taking care of some children that are not his. However, he gets to mix his inferior genes with her superior genes and create some children that came from him that are genetically superior to himself, right? And so overall, right, above average, because now, got some, right. So this is what it comes down. We never talk about this fact that on the other side, right, there's a very small percentage of the world that are 9s and 10s, female and male. There's a very small percentage of the world that we're really dealing with, right? Most of the people we're talking about are average because by definition, the majority of the world is average. Okay. So therefore, then, going back to the original statement, if the average human, not below average, but if the average human went at this rate where, well, you know what, I gotta test the cow out before I even decide I'm gonna start drinking the milk for free. Right, just so we can get to know each other better. And that is the rule. What you've done is you've created 70% of the population being tramps, where you then tell them that they're not marriage material because they're tramps. Even though they're not actually tramps, what they're doing is they're doing what the average or society norms state must be done. So either you want to create a lot of tramps, right? Which in that case, you can't call them tramps anymore. Or you don't want to create a lot of tramps. And so therefore, the women that you date versus the prostitutes that you hire are in 2 separate camps.
Exactly. You know what, Ruby? Let me explain something to you, right? What you're saying is absolutely correct. You want to create a hypersexualized society because people are your greatest resource when you're building a country. And what you do is men back in the olden days, right? Olden days. I'm talking about olden days, pre-1950s, right? Women's chastity was not left up to them to decide. Women's chastity was left up to the men to decide, mainly their fathers and brothers and uncles, right? Do you understand that the hyperpergamy happened after women's chastity was left up to themselves, but not really, because it was just a dream. It wasn't fictitious. No woman wants to go out there, right, in her right mind, get in a situation, get pregnant, and not have a way of taking care of her offspring. Period. No woman in a right mind, right? So why were women allowed to do this, and how did they see that it was okay to do this? Because someone had to step in to take care of them, provide, P times P equals P, right? So what that means is that a group of men, below average men, that sent the above average men to protect said country, got in power, gave women incentives where they can hypersexualize themselves with no fear, not on their fault, incentivizing. And this is in the way of the state of child support, holding this man accountable, not the state to a certain degree, doing X, Y, and Z. Now, what you're getting is you're getting women that are more career driven because now they are independent from the nucleus of the family dynamic, right? Now you're seeing the recourses of this problem. And the recourses of this problem is OnlyFans, swiping left, going here. I can do what I want. But it has not mitigated the fact that there are more women than men. And if you have this thing and the standards are whatever they are now, right? Then the thing is that there's a problem, because women feel as though there's a problem. Now, wait a minute, this ain't right. I got tricked, because at the end of the day, this ain't right. This I'm supposed to be able to be with someone. This was promised to me. Raise a child, right? In a nucleus household as much as possible. This man is supposed to protect and provide right here, because the people that are outside of here switches, and it's hard for me to raise a child, nest in an environment, and conquer the environment at the same time. This has to be a team effort, right? This is the nucleus of things. Men, on the other hand, are taught that, well, shoot, if she can choose this, I can choose that, I can do this, then it's more of us. It's less of us than it is of them. Okay, I might not get the 9 and the 10, but I get 2 5s, 2 3s, 2 2s, 4 5s. Like it's a whole trick bag. And
that's what I was about to say, Dre. I was about to say that's a trick bag.
It's a whole trick bag. Everybody's been bamboozled. The men in society have been bamboozled, but the women in society, at the end of the day, borrowing, right? A man comes up and just takes a woman's chastity, right? The first line of defense of her chastity used to be the males in the society. When you remove the males in society, right, that were in that and that were in that, and they weren't over abusing their power. Let's not say they weren't, but they weren't over abusing their power, right? Then the woman now, because she has her own rights and her own body positivity, she is the sole proprietor of her chastity, right? So the man, even if he's speaking, right, even it is part his fault, right? Back in the day, for a dude to sneak and get a woman like that, like the woman in question, if he was up there having all this sex with this woman, right, and the family found out whether she got pregnant or not, the men would hold him accountable. Shotgun weddings, baby. Yep. Oh, I hear you over here with my sister. I hear you loving on her. Well, guess what? You can't go up there and get the milk from the cow unless you buy it.
That's
Son,
right.
Y'all needs to get married.
So let me throw this in. I don't think too many women, you'll disagree with it. I don't know too many relationships that'll last if you're not sexually compatible. You might be in love with him. You might want to build a family with him, but eventually you have to have that compatibility that it's good for me, it's good for you. I got to want it, not. It's not supposed to be a job. I'm supposed to be looking forward to this. Damn it, here we go. Wednesday night. I know what I got to do. Come on in the back.
Right, but I don't know too many, and I'm being really serious here. I don't know too many people who are sexually incompatible, who are incredibly compatible in other areas, who spent time and energy and sometimes resources building an incredibly strong foundation, connection, and as we were talking about earlier, vibe. So in and of itself, right, one feeds the other. So
It's a linchpin, and all of it has to be each part of it. It's part of that relationship, and whether we want to admit it or not, the sexual aspect of it, at some point in time, especially when you're in the younger phases and younger parts of your relationship, that is paramount. It really is.
Absolutely. And there's nothing wrong. See, this is the thing. If Vonda or I were saying, no sex until marriage, right? Then I would understand the argument. I would, right? But there's a difference between saying no sex until marriage, or putting some arbitrary number on it, 90 days, let's say, because Steve Harvey told us so, even though we don't even understand why or whatever, versus saying no, until we've established a foundation, we've built a relationship and connection and trust and all those things. And you know what? Listen, everything else is hitting like clockwork. I'm willing to commit to this person. All right, let's take this step now and let's see if that last piece is in place. Right? Before we now go from here to, all right, now it's time to make life plans, because we are hitting on all cylinders everywhere. Right? Unless people are telling me that they're willing to make those types of decisions at 2 weeks or a month and a half, right? This is where I think that we're getting into issues. And again, there are people who are perfectly good with dating seriously and marrying a woman who has slept with maybe even hundreds of guys. They don't care. They don't care because they like hoe culture. They like the casual sex culture. They enjoy being part of it. They enjoy women enjoying being part of it. And so, hey, now we've grown up and we're going to settle down together and cool. And they're good with that. If that's what you said, then I would have no issue with what you said. To me, there's a hypocrisy in it, though, where you cannot literally be part of perpetuating hoe culture and this casual sex culture whereby literally everyone in it is a tramp, and also not rewarding women who are not tramps, because you're not, because in essence when they get to you they're either a tramp or you throw them away anyway. So they're never going to be marriage material, because you're never going to date them long enough to see if you would marry them, because ultimately if they don't get to sleep with you within a few weeks, they're out the door. So then there's no reward for holding on to your chastity. There's no reward or marriage in the future for holding on to your chastity, not just giving it out to everyone who asks for it and whatever. So then there's a hypocritical concept there.
Teacher Ruby.
Well, I think we can get rid of the hypocrisy just by saying this, Ruby. I mean, how do I say this? It's like,
I got an answer for this.
Go ahead, Dre. Go ahead.
With everybody, I'm going to take my retarded kid helmet off. I got an answer.
Bring it.
Okay.
Take that helmet off, sir. Take it off.
Girls, Vonda, we're about to go in.
All right.
The articles of prostitution need to be placed on the table.
Huh?
Yep. The articles of prostitution. See, do you want to reward women for not being hoes? But you're not going to get rid of whole culture because men love hoes. Let's bring the articles of prostitution on the table. I will tell you that this works. I live in a country. Prostitution is legal. The sanctity of marriage is paramount. Look at any country around the world where prostitution is legal. Women are rewarded for being wives, because they know something that we in newer westernized culture don't want to adhere to and don't want to recognize. And that is, like Lady Neek said, people been bumping pelvises since the beginning of time. They were just better at hiding it because they didn't have social media back then. It's just basically what it is. Like,
that's right.
People have been for real. I'm like, look, listen, I'm gonna give you a perfect example. My aunt just got married. She's 72. She got married again. She was with my uncle. He was about 10, 15 years older than her. My uncle died at 65. She was 55. She got married at 72. Do you know that every time I turn around, I hear about my wonderful uncle with kids popping up left and right during their marriage that she knew about. Knew about. Listen, old folk ain't so well in all this other stuff, right? It was a different code back then. It was a different era. When Vonda says what she's saying, we laugh and joke about it, but we have to put inflation, right? We got, like, you know how they say this guy was worth this much money back in the 1920s, but that translate into inflation. He was the world's first billionaire, but they didn't have billions back then because the economy didn't go to that high, right? What Vonda is saying about a year, back then you had all the time in the world. You really did, because you were only able to access the people within your general city, right? Remember, I'm an 80s baby. I remember calling outside the city was long distance. Now you can talk to someone on the other side of the planet.
We got more choice. We got more choices.
So Vonda's say her, 6 months to a year thing, because you had more time, you had more choices, you really had to get to know that person, because there was no messing up. There was this fine line between messing up, right? Because that's the way society looked at you, right? Nowadays, you have more freedom, right? You have more way of getting around. So let's take Vonda's 6 to 12 month plan, back then, to let's update it to a 90-day plan that's more feasible, right? You know what I mean? Because in this hypergamous lifestyle, right, this is what's going on, right? And this is why I say is, if you give people the option to do certain things, it's just like if you make things taboo and illegal, people will do them more often. If you say, okay, I know you're going to do X, Y, and Z, so I'm going to give you the option to do this willfully right here in a controlled space and environment where it makes the sanctity of marriage more pleasurable, and it incentivizes you to get married. And if these women or men, right, because you know what I'm saying, if these women or men want to be hoes, there's a whole district, right? They're getting tested. It's under lock and key. It is legalized. There is a structure. It's paying into the economy. Yet we're not going to have the red light district. But guess what? It's easy for you to have your kids because someone's paying into this, right? They're doing this, and now they're taking their time. Men, whether we want to understand this or not, whether we want to agree to this or not, or point to it, women can hold back their sexual urges way more than men can. Not saying that they don't have them, but they understand, because in the chemicals in their brain tells them, if I lay down with this dude, I am putting my life in jeopardy. And can he protect and provide on a DNA level? Because if I get pregnant, I am very susceptible to anything that the environment is coming and throwing at me. This is just the thing, right? Men, knock up, move on, go over here, go over there. Your job is, if you need to spread your seed, because this. It's those things that we have not evolved yet, and you know what I'm saying, as a culture and a species yet, and men. So there is a stopgap measure, right? And the stopgap measure is that, because when prostitution was legal, when it was, marriages stayed intact longer. People had more children then. And this is the gentleman's club, the cat houses, you know what I'm saying? All of that. When they started doing that, and then they started when they started doing that, then you start getting a lot of mistresses. You started getting a lot of men having kids with women, and then a lot of orphanages, a lot of single mothers. So then when they tried to do what? Hold men accountable, put them on child support, give women more rights. Did that stop people from having sex? No, they still have sex at high clips. Now the problem is the birth rates are lower. So now they're repealing all the abortion laws. People are still having sex. They're not producing children. Now we have a problem, right? So now we got to bring it all together. So I say people are going to have sex, but you want people to have kids. You want people to be in a marriage, right? Articles of prostitution on the table. Put it right there. It works.
But you see, that's what I was going to say. Here's the issue. This is what it comes down to, right? And this is why I said, to me, the issue is the mindset that there are tramps and then good women. Because if we're judging the value of a woman and her marriageability by her virtue or her chastity, but at the same time expecting them, in essence, to be like prostitutes or damn near, because you should spread your legs very quickly. That should be part of, like, before I tell you my middle name and trust you with that information, I should be able to sleep with you first, see if we're sexually compatible, right? I mean, that's where we're at. And so before, right, I mean, I'll say in Canada it was about, I'll say even as early as 20, 30 years ago, I think it was further back in America, where there were girls from the right side of the tracks and then girls from the wrong side of the tracks. And so even though they weren't technically prostitutes at, 13, 14, those were the girls you went to for the sexual favors, the casual sex, the sex without strings and whatever. And so you used those girls sexually. And did you sleep with the women that you fell in love with and wanted to marry one day? Sure. But it was like, that was a long period of time y'all waited, and blah, blah, blah. And you had to be right a couple of years even before you finally got up in there and blah, blah, blah. But if you needed to get the itch scratched in between, you went to the girl who is basically the teenage prostitute, right? And so there used to be a separation. And so the problem comes down to, if we haven't changed our mindset or mentality about which women are, marriageable, which women have high value, and we're including their virtue or chastity along with their value, how many notches you got on your belt, are you in the double digits, how high up there, blah, blah, blah. But then at the same time, literally, you cannot get through the dating process, by and large, without you sleeping with someone in the first month. And then, if you sleep with every single person you date, and on average, relationships last 3 to 6 months before you're like, yeah, no, something's just not right. Okay, on to the next one. So you're dating 2 people a year. You start dating at 16, you get married 10 years later. Right, that's minimum 20 people.
That adds up.
Right, it adds up.
And
is my point.
You, Ruby. I agree with you, Ruby, that is a serious trick bag. Because the men are going to sleep with the women, but the question is, what women are they going to sleep with? And because whore culture is so prevalent, now you have men saying all these women are ran through.
Right.
That's the premise now. They're all ran through until they dug through the haystack and found one that wasn't. So now the premise is all of them are ran through. And like Ruby said, before it wasn't like that. It used to be, the girl from the wrong side of the track, and then you have the other girl from the right side of the track. But because the demand for kitty cat is just way up there. Not that it ever went down. It's just increased.
Yeah, it's free kitty cat.
It's like an expectation plus demand, right?
It's supply and demand. It is. It's basically supply and demand.
And my thing is, if these men are going to be having the sex, it boils down to what Ruby said. Who are they going to be having sex with?
Right.
There's some quote unquote good girls up in there too. That's going to get smushed in with the serious down low dirty whores, because they do exist.
Oh yeah.
Right, they all got the same numbers, because one way or the other, if you got to sleep with someone so quickly just to get through dating them, to be able to get to know if you guys are compatible on a marriage level, you got to sleep with them so early, then your numbers aren't going to change differently from the chick who's just into getting banged at the club and she don't even know your name, right? I mean, honestly, you only go to the club a couple times a week, right? At most, right? So I mean, I'm just saying.
You're going to have to just make a decision, and you can't be concerned with what they say and what they think. You're going to make your decision on your body. You want to sleep with John, sleep with him. You want to wait 6 months, John not interested, at the second month, well, you and John will never be. And that's it, and that's okay. Next.
Pornhub is a thing. Batteries.
Right. Get the batteries out. That's all I'm saying is I'm not trying to sound cynical about the whole situation, but again, there's so many variables that has to be, so many ingredients that has to be put into the stew of a good relationship, and you cannot leave your sexual compatibility out of it if you're planning this relationship to move any further to where it gets to the point to where it's marriage. I don't like surprise. I like surprises, but I don't like that kind of surprise to find out that after I'm married to this woman and I'm not sexually compatible with her. That's only going to lead to one of us cheating.
But DJ Music, you're not, in most cases, let's just keep it a buck. Nobody's getting married after 6 months. Okay, so if you're waiting 6 months before you delve into that other sector of intimacy after you guys have already built the foundation, I believe that's worth waiting for.
It depending, if it's the right woman, and all those things go into play, and it's like, okay, I'm not saying that sex gotta be there, but what I'm saying is, we get to the third month and the fourth month, and we got some heavy.
I heard you say sex.
Yeah, that's literally exactly what you said. Yeah.
Well, okay, I'm gonna take that back. Yeah, it is. It's paramount for me. It really is. I can't speak with all the other fellas, but no. I'm telling you what. To be quite honest with you, I'm not waiting 6 months.
You got to go.
6 months. What am I getting for waiting 6 months?
He couldn't walk it back at all. He's like, no, forget that.
I'm tired of holding on to it. I'm gonna be straight. I'm not waiting 6 months. I don't care if you're named Jane Kennedy. I don't care who you are. I'm not waiting for no coochie for 6 months. What you gonna do? What you gonna do? What you gonna do? And listen, what I'm gonna do? Put a picture of it on the refrigerator and remind me this what you gonna get in 6 months if you good? Hell no. Send me a picture of it. This what you gonna get. And if you got a new house, you got a new car, and we talk like we good together, in 6 months I'm gonna give you this. Shit, I already got the prize. I don't need that.
DJ Music, we're gonna have a talk later.
Swipe left, mama. 6 months. Swipe left. You got to go. 6 months. I love you. You look good. My oh my, I wish you would have cut back on that time of having me wait. We might have had something real good and special, but
look
6
back
months,
the thing you missed out on because you couldn't wait. Just look at it.
It's not that I could. It's not that I couldn't wait, ma'am. You expected me to stop being me to catch you. I can't do that.
Right. No. I agree with you though, because I do think, right, there's other aspects of, say, dating and relationships we heavily disagree on. So, we would make a terrible match. And that's why I do think that, the right person for you is going to have the same approach, or at least they'll have the same approach for you. Mm-hmm. Right. And they'll be good with that. Right. Just likewise, the right guy for Vonda, the right guy for me is going to have that same approach. Even if they've slept with other women earlier, they're going to see us as, okay, you know what? Yeah, there's something here that's worth me waiting on because, I actually enjoy my time with you. Otherwise, I like talking to you. I like building with you. So I'm okay with that. You know what I mean?
That's exactly what I'm talking about. I'm okay building with you. I'm okay waiting for the, as Don Teasy typed down the chat room, coochie spelled with the K. I'm okay for waiting for that. But I got to wait 6 months.
Right.
Well, you take the 6 months off the table, and it's just going to be undetermined. You'll get it when the time is right.
It better be left undetermined because once I see I can't even talk.
Somebody give you a contract with 6 months on it, you're going to have a conniption.
That sounds like I'm being set up for something.
Hey, listen. Undetermined don't work for me neither. Like, no, that's that whole. I take 6 months over undetermined. No.
You guys are terrible. It's not that bad.
No, it is that bad because look, check this out. Listen, I'm gonna say like this. It is. Listen, it is. Rhonda, I'm gonna tell you, it's that bad. See, now you got worse. Undetermined.
She ain't got balls, so she can say it ain't that bad.
Exactly.
You guys are exaggerating.
Them shits don't get tightened up in her neck, and you can't.
In the chat. Where are the men?
Wait, you know what though?
It's not that bad.
Let me
Yes,
ask you a question though. Let me ask you a question.
For 6 months.
Because like, what if you don't have a time frame, right? But there's markers you would need to meet. So, for example, right? Because I don't have a time frame now. I gave like it's around that long, 4 or 6 months. Like it normally takes a while, but why? It's because of the markers that we're meeting. It's not the actual time frame. It's the fact that you're at a place where you are ready to commit to this relationship for real, A, and B, we're falling in love for real. Like we've fallen in love with each other. Those are my requirements, right? And so that might come faster or slower with some people, but you get an actual, this is what I'm looking for. Remember, to be fair, me and Vonda do differ on one point, which is I'm okay with you sleeping with other people.
Thank you.
You're just not going to sleep with
you're
me,
reasonable.
right?
You're reasonable.
Yeah.
Yes,
Right.
you're reasonable.
Right.
Thank you for being reasonable.
But see, there it goes again. There it goes again, right there. Okay, we're trying to build this relationship, but you also telling me in the same, and I can't be faithful to you by saying, listen, I want to get to know you, but my sexual appetite says, I'm gonna hold on to this for as long as I can. I still want to get to know you, but if you don't see me for a weekend, you know where I'm at. Are you going to allow me to come back next week?
I would. I don't have an issue as long as you're open and honest with me about it. Don't lie to me about it, right? Because it's about as a building trust and like a rapport with each other. But I would be okay with that because at the end of the day, part of what I'm waiting for is a point where we are choosing to commit to each other because we've fallen in love, where we're ready to build something real. So if we haven't gotten to that place where we are committed to each other, then we're just dating. And if we're just dating, to me, dating is literally by definition an open thing where you date multiple people as you figure out who you want to settle down with. So
I'm gonna sound mean on this one, but love ain't nothing but a 4-letter word. Fuck, damn, shit. I'll put that 4-letter word right there with the rest of them. It works whenever you need it to.
Yeah, but you don't have to say the words to know. More than words. They made that song, More Than Words. It's not about you saying the words. It's about what you feel and how you demonstrate it.
You know what? I would say this, Vonda, and I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna say this to you right now. Me, like, I'm a logical person when it comes to a lot of things, right? So in this day and age, because I'm trying to think in my head, right? Because see, 6 months, like, and we're there in the 6 months because undetermined is even far worse, right?
Yeah, that's worse. To be quite honest,
because when you said undetermined, I was thinking of Charlie Brown in the football and how Lucy just keeps pulling him away when he goes to kick.
Right.
Undetermined, 3 months,
right.
64.
Okay. No. See, now that's good, right? Because you got to understand, Vonda, right? Winter is only 3 months, right? Cuffing season is only 3 months.
Don't last very long.
Don't last that long. Remember, you got spring. That's sundress season. The whole buddy.
Girls is dressing less. What you gonna do?
You know what I'm saying? It's summertime, everything is off, and then you got the fall. Everybody's still coming down from. So in a relationship, you have your winter, right? You got your fall, you know what I'm saying? You got your winter, you got your spring, you got your summer, right? And your summer is the best part of the relationship, the getting to know you portion. That it's fresh. We getting to know each other, right? And then the fall, that's the summer portion. The fall is everything's calming down. You might get in your first little tiff. In fall, you got to break out your jacket because it ain't summer no more. Just a little jacket, but you're still looking cute, right? Then the winter time in the relationship is when you have your first big fallout, right? Now, what brings you back into the relationship is that time, the holidays, Thanksgiving, you eat good on Thanksgiving, get the itis, right? You get Christmas time, everything is great, right? What else happens in the fall? New Year's, right? You try to make new resolutions, right? And if you think about, and then you have Valentine's Day, right? Valentine's Day, I love you, bam, right before the spring. You try to, they have those holidays there for a reason. The reason is winter is cold, it's lonely, right? But if you notice, the major holidays in the winter are all holidays where you need to be getting it on with somebody, wearing your ugly Christmas sweaters, right? You've seen the commercials of people by themselves during the winter. it don't look too well. More people commit suicide during the winter than any other season. Now, the winter in relationship, the spring is the renewal of the relationship if you're still in it, and the summer is we smashing like rabbits, rinse and repeat. So the 6-month thing, Wanda, don't work. Because you need,
you know what, that analogy
it don't work.
It has worked.
Like the 6-month thing, I'm talking about now and nowadays. It does not work.
So
in that
because whore culture exists,
I would say like this: if you're waiting around for 6 months for you to be intimate with somebody, right, as an adult, not a child, anything like that, right? Because we have enough. Like think about it. There is enough information out there, an overload of information. There are things out there that are so great that they work, like birth control and things of that nature. People are not having kids like they used to. They can actually have. So the thing that you have to worry about really is more than likely is, diseases and things of that nature. So I get why you're waiting that long. But if you're waiting that long, 6 months, if you can into a person and you can hold yourself back for 6 months that long and not put yourself in a position where you might slip up and give into your urges, then you really ain't into that person if you go and get to 6 months alone. So you might as well
But you know what though? My mom's husband waited till marriage. My mom's husband waited till marriage, and he's maybe 12 years older than her, and she was 39, and he waited because my mom was legit abstinent, no sex till marriage, and he waited. About it,
he's 39, Ruby. I'm talking with
no, he
39.
was 40.
He was 40.
No, actually, he was. He was like 40 something.
Listen, I'm 39. I think differently now as a man. I'm a man, so I'm gonna tell you, men, for some reason, at 32, we think different. It's like God came down. Men that are functional. Okay? I'm gonna preface that again.
God came down.
God came down. He took his finger with the light on it and touched us in the head. Today you shall have wisdom. And that little head that takes over your big head shall not be that potent. It's still there, but you're not thinking with the little head no more as much as you're thinking with the big head. Be great. It's something, yeah. So when a man gets to a certain age, he can do that. Like, look, me now, even with my infinite wisdom and knowledge and world and understanding and logic, I'm still ain't waiting no goddamn 6 months. I'm sorry, Vaughn.
I got a question. I got a question. Since you gentlemen are not gonna wait 6 months, what if after 2 months and she just tells you flat out, how honest would you be? She says flat out, look, I am not having sex with you or anybody else unless I have a firm commitment. We are together. We're going to ride this out. We're going to keep going. It's not going to be no, one and done, no wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. The dude that I'm laying down with is going to be my husband. If a woman comes straight out and tells you some stuff like that, how are you going to react?
Oh, I'll tell you, Vaughn. I will react like this. Ma'am, thank you for telling me this. Now, please step into the Will and Ted's Excellent Adventures phone booth and let me transport you back to 1950.
Oh gosh.
But you know what though, Wanda? But there are men who don't think like that because my best friend, I just realized my best friend was abstinent until marriage, even though she had a kid, abstinent until marriage, and she married a man who did not have children and was a year younger than her. Now I'm thinking about it, out of those 8 people that I was talking about that all got engaged and married in that 2-year period, the majority of them were abstinent until marriage and remained abstinent until marriage. They didn't break that at any point before the marriage. And so that's 8 men who weren't even dating at the time who said, oh, okay, so I can't sleep with you. In some cases, I can't even get busy with you in any sense until we're married. And yet they proposed and then married them anyway.
Exactly.
So there are men who do think differently, right? So there's the average, I guess, and then there's the outliers, right? Because in general, we have to admit that the mindset that Vonda has, the mindset I have, we are outliers in general.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Y'all in the woods.
And then you want music and Dre. There you go. Outside.
You ain't outlined. Y'all ain't in the city limits.
We're in the woods. We're so far out there. Can't even find that dot.
Yeah,
Where is it?
Ruby who?
But you know what? But if she was actually, Vonda, to your question in a serious tone, if she was to actually tell me that straight up, then I would be as frank and honest with her too. And I would ask two questions. Can we be like serious for a day? Because I done put all this work in and wasted all this money over here to get in them draws. Or thank you, have a nice day. Let me find you. I think you need to find somebody on that because I'm not there yet. And maybe later on, if you're free, if I'm free, maybe we can continue, but we can be friends because we've been knowing each other for this long, but I'll move on. Right. And I wouldn't waste my time because if I'm not in that mindset, if she told me that and I was in that mindset, I'll be like, cool. So we going down to the Justice of the Peace tomorrow? Like we going to get married tomorrow?
But then would you stay married?
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I'm like, I would stay married, you know what I'm saying, as much as possible, but that's, you know what I'm saying? No, for real. Like, I'm just saying, like, no, it's real. Like, look, if you ask me how long did it take before me and my wife that we're married now, for long as we've been together, before we had sex, I will tell you all about 6 hours of me meeting her.
Right.
Right? Would I tell anybody?
So 2 weeks was a lifetime for me.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it was 6 hours, but we didn't get married until like we was together for 5 years before we got married. Like we was together. Like when did I have sex? 6 hours of meeting her. When did we actually start a dating series? 2 months after that. We was together ever since, and we've been together for 17 years. Right now, if someone like, oh man, no, don't do what Dre does because Dre was a super hoe. I'm going to tell you, Dre was a hoe. Dre already had it out of Dre's system. Dre was chilling. Dre wasn't actually, when I met my wife, I was just trying to see if I could just get a number and get her later because shit. Look, I'm batting 100. I'm batting for the cycle. Shoot, I just came back from Guam. A chick paid for me to fly from smashing. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? The only reason why I actually stopped off because my roommate was there and I was being lazy and I didn't want to walk from the train station to our house. That was it. If I would have went home, who knows?
Damn, talk about fate.
It's just a fake thing, right? But it was the right time and place for me. Now, at the time, I'm 25, right? But in Navy years, I'm 33. Right, you know, it's different. You know what I'm saying? I done ran through, jumped in and out of, you know, hey, it is what it is, right? But at the same time, would I suggest what I did to anybody else? And the answer is no. No. At least give it, you know, 2 weeks or so or whatever, if you're sexually compatible and a lot of things. Because if sex is the only thing that you're compatible with, as a men know, then they're like, man, she only good for sex. She's like, she can't hold a conversation. She dumb as a brick. Oh God, right? No, right? You know what I'm saying? I don't want nobody jumping out of the car while we at a stop sign going to the movies.
Well, yeah, you got to think about it the whole other way though, too, right? I caught that too. But you got to think about it from the other side of the coin too, right? Which the first thing is this, right? I mean, if there was no other deeper underlying connection and vibe and enjoyment of each other, right? If there was nothing else that you were providing to this man in his life, well then yeah, obviously he's not going to stay around because he's not getting sex. But that being said, then that would also tell you the only thing he'd be staying around for is the sex, and that's not going anywhere. So you might as well just end it anyway before you get to the 6 months. No, it's absolutely true. Because you know what? A man, ultimately, this is what it comes down to. A man, ultimately, who can only tolerate being around you if he's sleeping with you, that man is not going to marry you. He's just not, right? There has to be some other type of enjoyment of your company. He has to find you valuable in other ways. Maybe he loves the way you iron his shirts and cook clean for him. He likes chilling and watching movies with you because of your commentary. Y'all watch movies the same way. Whatever it is, there's got to be more to it than that. But there's also the problem there where if the sex is good enough, if the sex is amazing, it can blind you. It can blind you to things that a particular woman is lacking. It can also blind you to her malicious motivations until it is too late.
And that's the point there, Ruby. It also can blind after you hit the sex is right at that point in time. It blinds you from all other women anyway. So
but I mean, it can blind you from her ultimate goal of stealing your life savings, or you know what I mean? Like
exactly. And I hate to keep coming back to what Vonda said, but it's 6 months of waiting to that. You got to wait 6 months to find out whether you're gonna get robbed or not.
No, because that whole 6 months,
you've been
during that
with
6 months,
you've been spending time with her. You guys have been talking. You guys have, been.
Okay, Let's go back. We dating each other. First month, first couple of weeks, I'm not expecting nothing. Second couple of weeks, I'm not expecting nothing. I come over to your house, and one day we're sitting over chilling. What they do now, they watching Netflix, right? You come out fresh out the shower, smelling good, looking good, got some lace or lingerie or something on like that. And as my man, I'm supposed to say, nah, I don't want nothing tonight.
Now, as a woman who is, on this 6 month or this undetermined, amount of time, there's no way that I would dangle a cookie in front of someone who is on a diet. You don't do that. So no, you're gonna get me in the sweats. We're gonna we're gonna still be, chilling and cool, but there's not gonna be no sexy. I'm not gonna lay on nothing extra because that's only temptation, and that's just like dangling a carrot in front of a rabbit.
Oh no! Now I got
going too far. Going too far.
Flipping tables and chairs. Now we flipping tables and chairs.
Thank you.
Oh my God, you guys!
Yeah. See, Vonda. All the prostitution on the table. You don't understand how
I try to help y'all ladies out, but
so extreme.
Dre, get them.
Listen, you have not seen a group of men trapped on a boat for 6 months. No females around, nothing but water. Release those men. Like, have you ever seen the Coyote cartoon where he's up there licking and slobbering and having that look on his face? There is a reason why they have to pull a ship in, right? And these are men that are trained to kill things, right? You know what I'm saying? So, so think about it. Why do there's a reason why they had women in the armed forces only as nurses when men got hurt, because the pretty face would soothe the mind, the mind, right? They didn't want women. They didn't want women on the battlefield because a man would lose it seeing a woman getting exploded, right? Women are held in high regard, but you know what also chills a man out? They tell fighters not to have sex so he can keep his testosterone level up. Men are extra aggressive when they don't have that type of energy around them. 6 months, listen, if he's chilling for 6 months, and there are men, like Ruby said, there are men that will wait, right? There's different circumstances. They're out there. But they are the minority.
Right. He ain't talking, he's growling. Every time you ask him something, if he been closer he get to that 6 months, first you might say, hey baby, what's going on? Hey, how you doing, mama? What's up?
Oh.
3 months into it, hey baby, how you doing?
You're okay. You are okay. 90 days, you're fine.
90 days.
No, you know what though? Here's the thing.
90 days, same as cash.
No, because again, it depends on the man, right? Because again, if you hold sex and sexual activity in such high regard, right, that I'm assuming someone who holds sex in such high regard and in such necessity that it would change their persona to the point where all they are is now a snarling, sniveling, angry ball in the corner, right? Is then therefore when they're single, then they must be having sex very regularly, very, very regular with very random people, because otherwise what you're saying is that, well, they only turn into that if they happen to be courting someone, which is a little bit crazy.
I put it right up there with oxygen. I got to have it.
Okay, but with that being said, those guys are different.
Self-satisfaction is not the same.
No, that's exactly what I'm saying. I don't. I mean, yeah, that helps, but sooner or later, I want to feel the breath, the smell of a woman around me, and that's.
Dating when you are feeling her and smelling.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Not
Especially if
feeling
she
her
got
like
no.
that.
Especially if she got sweats on every time I say, "Damn, that's all you got? Sweats? Put on something nice."
So she puts on some lingerie, and then she's tempting you, and you feel like 4 months ago.
Listen, it depends on what, and depends on how long I was waiting. She could put on overalls, and I might still try and get her.
Listen, at the end of the day, this is what it is, right? And I'm gonna say this is what it is, right? It's the understanding of this. Men, this is the nature of the beast, right? We have to impress, we have to show that we can protect, and we have to show that we can provide, right? These are the things, these are the basic aspects of the bare minimum of just being a man walking around, competing against other groups of men, just in those categories for provision, right? Now, when we get with the woman, we have to do something extra, which is the emotional unlocking. We got all these keys, and we got to keep sticking them in these locks and trying to see if we're going to turn them. Now, the problem is you ain't giving me the access to the lock for 6 months.
Right.
Like, you ain't even letting me see the lock.
Right.
What entitles you to that access?
No. I'm saying, like,
what entitles both of you guys to that access from
exactly.
No, but I have a bigger issue than that. I have a bigger issue than that. Here's my issue, right? And so what we need to realize is this: men and women both have raw animal brains, right? Women did not evolve to think that protecting and providing had anything to do with these little pieces of paper that we call money, and a lot of the other things that society has created, right? And so women actually have to suppress their raw animal brains in a lot of cases, and use their intellect, use their logic, use their, socialized sight in order for them to value other things other than your raw animalistic testosterone related traits. Okay. That's what it comes down to. We have to actually be able to evaluate testosterone related traits and protection and all those other things by a standard we did not evolve to automatically respond to. And so I find it very difficult to understand why it is that every time we have these discussions, men go back to their raw animalistic brains and they speak as though they shouldn't also have to in any way, shape, or form adjust and shift, and therefore look at and evaluate other signs of estrogen in women, other signs of, fertility and satisfaction from the woman who is the nurturer and the support and the helpmeet, and evaluate things differently. It's like, no, men can still, be 10,000 years ago, me caveman, you Jane. But women, if women were to do that, then we'd be like, yo, they're all mentally retarded. Like, why aren't they using their common sense here? Right?
Because we made the society. Yeah, like it's like this. The reason why women can do that because they've always been able to do that, right? And it's this weird thing, right, where you don't see a 7 foot, 300-pound strong dude doing calculus on a high clip, right? There's balance in the universe. So to make up for being physically weaker, women mature faster mentally, right? Men, we have to be able to tap into that at any given time. We're running around with testosterone. That's who we are. We're just that's what we do. Like you said, paper means nothing. At the end of the day, we have to challenge the environment. That's how we're built. Sorry.
I hope you all enjoy your extra time tonight, because this is our last stream.
I was so surprised. Like, Char came on at 1. I was like, all right, we're done.
She gave us the bonus. Talking. Thank you. I felt it. I'm like, yes, it's the last one, so she's giving us a bonus.
Yeah, wasn't that nice little treat for Christmas? Yeah.
Thank you.
We didn't have to
Thank you for my present. You know what, music? You know what?
You had to wait 6 months for the treat either. Yeah, we got it right away. We got the damn tweet. We didn't even let ask for it. 6 months. Damn.
So tomorrow we'll be having the article reactions stream.
Yeah,
We're going to
got my
skip
reaction.
next Friday, which is Christmas. Everybody get a break. And then I'll stream for that Saturday for article reaction. And then the following week, I'll have a live stream for New Year's or New Year's Eve. So
cool.
I'll tell you more about it when, the time get here. But since you're here, I said, well, let me tell you now. But it is Running Man time. Check us out tomorrow for article reactions. And until tomorrow, peace.
Cheers, y'all.
Peace.
Hey, folks, it's your nighttime. It's your right time DJ Music. Make sure you join Char Willie each and every Saturday, 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central, for article reaction, right here on your local YouTube channel. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe to Article Reaction.